Good evening, Draftaholics, and welcome to Draft Punks. I'm Sam, joined today not by Adrian Walker, and don't worry, he'll be back next video, I hope, but by Simon Nielsen, who is fresh off of, okay, big deep breath for this, a semi-finals finish at Pro Tour Lord of the Rings, his second Pro Tour top 8 in a row, also off the back of 6-0 in Limited at the Pro Tour. Also didn't pick up a loss until round 13 when he started just conceding to his teammates. Did I cover off everything? Simon, welcome back to Draft Punks.
Thank you. Yeah, that is exactly on point. You know, like after last time, like the only thing I've been thinking about is like, man, I just want to go back and like do a video with Sam again, reviewing my draft. So I've been training like hard in the camps. I ignored all my teammates' emails on Modern, and I just focused on Limited so that I could get to the feature draft pod on day 2. And that's why I found myself. So yeah, I think the plan all worked out. I kidnapped Adrian, so like you're never gonna like have him as a co-host again, and it's all like working according to plan.
This is beautiful. Yeah, no, I'm picturing like a proper kind of Rocky style montage of just drafting through that whole process.
Yeah, exactly.
That's amazing. Okay, look, before we go on, I can't list that whole kind of accolade every time we have to introduce you. So I've got a few short versions that I'd like your thoughts on. Okay, How do we feel about 6-0 Simon?
Oh, I like that one. That one feels
go with
good.
that, or no loss Nielsen.
Yeah,
and in third place we've got semi-final Simon, but I'm hoping that next time we do this, you've just leveled it up one further.
Yo, I do actually have a finals appearance in one of the online pro tours. So,
well, come on, pick it up. I booked a pro for this video.
I know.
Yeah,
it's okay. We're gonna watch a pro at least.
Hey everyone, Sam in the edit here. I just need to mention that Simon offers coaching over at Metafy. There's a link in the description and the pinned comment. You should go sign up for it because it'll make you a better Magic player and it will convince Simon to do more of these videos with us. These are the carrot that we're using to try to get him to come back more. So you know how everyone says if you want to support the channel, you gotta like smash that subscribe button? No, not well. Okay, you can do that as well if you want. But more importantly, go sign up for Simon's coaching because it's amazing and it'll help us. On to the video.
That's it. All right, here's the plan for today. We are going to go through every pick of Nathan Stoyer's draft on day 1 of the Pro Tour. Nathan was the feature drafter on day 1. If you watched our last video, you know how this is going to go. We are going to go as insanely in-depth as humanly possible on this. If you want just the most excruciating minutia of draft analysis, that's what we are here for. And then we're going to do the same for not the feature drafter on day 2, because we were lucky enough to actually have Simon in the feature pod on day 2, and we were able to rebuild almost his entire draft from watching those around him. So we've actually got Simon's own draft, and we get to get inside the mind of the mad genius over here and kind of hear exactly what was going on. And I think we're going to get a little bit of the same for Nathan's, because you and Nathan tested together. That's correct, right?
Yeah, we have the advantage here that like instead of me having to guess like last time what like Team Channel Fireball's draft philosophy was, I actually just know what like how we rank the cards on Team Handshake, and so that's going to be a big advantage, I think, for the content.
Or disadvantage. I kind of liked the roasting Reed Duke vibe.
Oh, I'm gonna roast Nate. Don't worry about it.
Oh, good. Okay, so long as we've got roasting the best players in the world, I'm happy. So let's do this. Next thing you're going to see up on screen is one Nathan Stoyer.
Yeah. This is a very interesting pod, by the way, as a feature pod, because it's Nate and then 7 people that like most wouldn't really recognize. Like maybe you can recognize 1 or 2 from like your local GP circuit or like your local area, but it's like some of these people could be good drafters. It's definitely possible, but it's like unlikely that like all of these are strong drafters. So it's like kind of a fortunate table for Nate in this regard. It's kind of different from a regular PT draft.
I was thinking that as well. So looking at our very first pack, we've got a Nazgul, the rare Mary Esquire of Rohan, the red-white hasty dude. And I think the clear winner here is Ancestral Recall, which Nate hasn't pulled to the front of the pack. I assume that's just a mistake.
Sam.
Talk us through why that might have happened, Simon.
Sam, I think you have a problem. First it's like your Dune Shaper, and now the Birthday Escape. This is just not okay. No, so Nate here is going to pick up Nazgul here. It's like one of the best uncommons. But he noticed that this is a very strong pack. We have Rangers Firebrand, Mary, Ancestral Recall,
yes.
Deceive the Messenger, and Meneldor, the as Javier calls it, the Royal Chicken. So yeah, there's actually like a lot of good cards in this pack, and especially like a lot of good blue. And he takes out, first of all, like the only good black card in the Nazgul, so that's always strong, right? You don't need to pass a black signal. And second of all, like the pack is so good, there's actually like a chance that like some good card could wheel. So he'll be noting this. So like even though like Mary's like he like might be putting his neighbor into red with passing the Rangers Firebrand into Mary. People might be like, afraid of like picking up a gold card, and like if they're afraid enough of picking up a gold card until we get like around the table, until people have set their colors, like picks like 5 and 6, it's actually like very possible that like the Mary could wheel, 20% chance or so. So this is like worth noting that like this is actually in the back of Nate's mind.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's probably going to be something that we return to, the presence of the red, white, gold card here. The big thing I'd love to get your thoughts on, kind of just at this point in the draft, I think one of the biggest talking points in the format in general has been the color balance or imbalance and color preferences. I know there's a lot of different pros or commentators that feel very strongly about that in one direction, and how you are in terms of what's best and what's bad, so to speak, but also what you're supposed to do with that information. Some people say, okay, well, I'm just going to assume that I'm black because black is so good. And then some people go the exact opposite direction, where they say everyone's going to be fighting over black, so I want no part of it. Where do you stand on that whole discussion?
Yeah, I have this like very hot take opinion that I think black is the best color. And so I'm like, which is by the way not a hot take at all. And so I'm trying to.
Well, I disagree.
That's fair. No, because I can definitely like see a merit to the argument that like, if you're going black, especially if you're going red black, you're gonna have to be like scrapping for commons like really quickly. But the upside is that like the scrappy commons is still better than a lot of the other cards. Like,
that's the thing, yeah.
Red black. So you can actually like have a totally fine red black deck. And I think our general, like we had like Claim the Precious, Dune and Crebain, and Torment of Gollum as like the 3 best commons. And so we were definitely so we were definitely like on the chain of like black is the best, you want to be in black. But we also had like knowledge of like how do you do it if you're not in black, if it's closed, or if you just like open good cards of other colors. So for instance, like we had Tristan Wild LaRue, who was like the limited mad scientist on our team, do a full hour TED talk on how to draft green in our limited meeting. And that was really good. And he drafts green like slightly differently from how you might expect, and we might even see that play out later. But yeah, like, so we were definitely like aware that like you could have good green decks, and so we weren't like avoiding the color at all costs. We also weren't trying to avoid black. In general, I think like the Team Handshake draft style is to not really like draft too much with preference. Like we definitely have preferences, but we're not gonna like zoom in on like 2 to 3 archetypes, or like try and avoid it and color entirely. That's not really what we're here for.
Yeah, that was very much the vibe I got from our last conversation, was you tend to just kind of treat the cards for what they are, and if color is open, you're happy to move into that color. It didn't seem like black being the best or something else being the worst. That didn't really seem to kind of shift how you'll take things in your first couple of picks, at least. Yeah.
I definitely agree with that.
Great.
Okay, so first pick's Nazgul here, passing a bunch of good red and blue cards. Yeah. Oh, we see the lovely like draft passing process here with like counting out the cards. Something you don't get to experience.
It's a whole lot more tedious than at your LGS. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, for sure.
Pick 2. We've got Rise of the Witch King immediately pulled to the front, along with apparently top 3 common Torment of Gollum. And there's the Moria Marauder. Talk to me about how you evaluate these against each other.
Yeah, this is really interesting. Like, so Torment of Golem is definitely like, you know, like it's like slightly better than Birthday Escape in our estimation. Birthday Escape is the best blue common. But then like there's like the Moria Marauder. We did have like a rare meeting where we went over like how to rank all the rares, and Marauder is like kind of a difficult one to rank because while it is really good, like really good, especially if you get the ring on it, it's also a double red 2-drop, so it's extremely committal.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think, you know, I talked to Nate about this afterwards. I think that fact, like, they combined with the fact that like he passed, like, you know, the Rangers Firebrand, and like he took a black card. I think taking Torment of Golem here would have just been better.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, like after, right, immediately after the draft, he didn't even remember passing. He didn't even remember passing the Torment. But yeah, we reminded him afterwards, and yeah, then we had a discussion. And I think he agreed that like it was probably a wrong pick. But again, remember that like what's on his mind here, like partly is also the fact that like he could actually disable another 2-drop rare, and so even though he took a black card, like he wants to leave the door open for like accommodating the Mary if it comes around.
Yeah.
Which is it's such a like absurd thing because it like doesn't seem to be like very likely that it does, but because of the strength of that pack, it's actually like not unlikely. And so if you like take black card into black card, like it's in some ways it's keeping you quote unquote open because like you only have one color, you can like try and wait to see what the other open color is. But in other ways, it's also keeping you closed, especially like, you know, you locked yourself into being black, and maybe there's like 3 black drafters passing to you, and it actually ends up not working out great. So
yeah, I'm so glad you mentioned that. It's something we've talked about on the channel a little bit as well. There seems to be this idea that staying open. Well, I kind of think that staying open doesn't necessarily mean just like taking all of one color necessarily. Because if you can leave yourself options to go in a couple of different directions, that can be just as strong. So if you start with good black into good red, that leaves you many more options than if you just start solid black and then black is closed.
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting. I really think at the moment that like defining what is open is the like great limited debate of our time. I say as like, you know, as a super like academic scholar approach here.
No, that's great.
Yeah, no, like
that. Yeah,
we've had countless of discussions about this on our team. I've heard podcasts, like Kyle Rose's podcast and Lords of Limited and so on, like have very like differing views on this matter. And it's really hard to like, because Limited has changed, and it's kind of like difficult to determine exactly like what that means. And there's also like another way of being open is that like you can also like assume that you're like trying to play the cards you pick. You want to make sure that they like work together no matter which direction you move in. And that like the whole concept of like colors can be a bit blurry because of like usually it's like pretty easy to splash in like weird ways if you want to. Stuff like, you know, Grawl, like Hall of the Great, Great Hall of the Citadel. There we go. And the many partings. Like it's something that opens up that like you can combine cards that like wouldn't normally fit on colors but might fit on strategy. So
100%. Yeah. People who are new to the channel, I did a draft review of a fan submitted, not a fan submitted. He was one of my competitive teammates. Asked me to help him out with the draft. Why he asked me, Simon Nielsen, is currently wondering in his head. But we were talking about the exact same thing as we went through it. That cards like Great Hall and Many Partings, if you can pick them up early, they open so many more paths and leave you so many more opportunities to take powerful cards rather than being forced in a narrow direction and having to take weaker cards as a result of it. Yeah,
for sure. So it's really interesting like how this all shakes out. So I think it's like really like at the moment it's really up to like from drafter to drafter what being open means. And I'm also like still leaning a little bit in the camp of like if you have like 5 different colors in your 5 first picks, it means that like no matter what the open cards you get, pick 6, 7, you're never like abandoning more than 3 cards. Like that's kind of like my philosophy. But I think like it's kind of shaky at the moment, so I'm trying to like re-evaluate it.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, and I think this is a massive credit to, I mean, both draft in general, but just this format that's such an interesting discussion at pack 1, pick 2.
That pick is really difficult. It's also one thing to keep in mind though, is that when picks are like really close and get like, you know, theoretically deep, usually it means it doesn't matter that much. Like the picks that
No,
are really,
don't
really
say
difficult. Well, yeah, it's kind of like, you know, a sad reality for us, like, you know, theorists who just want to, like, you know, come to like the conclusion of the one best pick. But in reality, it's like, you know, like if a pick is really close, it's because you're comparing, like, you know, the 54% win card with the 54.1% win rate card. And in reality, like, as long as you make sure that your draft is coherent with the picks you take, it actually doesn't matter that much, like, you know, which one you take, because if you're wrong, you can't be wrong by that much.
Yeah, except it's about, and this kind of goes into the kind of 17 lands stats, which I'm curious to get your takes on again with this format. That it's not just about win rate, right? You're trying to balance raw win rate of the card with the probability that it will end up in your deck, with the like synergy coefficient that it has while it's in your deck, with the probability of that and all of the synergistic cards going into the deck. Like, it's really complicated. There's so many factors. It's not like you can just bring up the game in hand win rate column on 17 lands and go, hey, cool, I can draft.
Yeah, definitely not, but it also gets you like a lot of the way there, for especially for beginners. But I agree, like, you know, for high level, like, you need to consider a lot more things, and
yeah,
that like certain cards will have a higher win rate. On 17 lands, like Combat Tricks, for instance, will just do better.
Yeah.
And so it's important to like also like, you know, have like, you know, your like whoever your teammates or your friends are that you work with, like try and, or even just like with yourself, like try and come to a tier list that like more accurately reflects like how you really feel about the cards and how you would take them.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, that's a lot of time on a Pack 1 Pick 2. Welcome to these videos. Simon, let's have a look at Pack 1 Pick 3. So we've got, really the only thing standing out here is going to be that Faramir Field Commander.
Yeah, and then there's like the Easterling Vanguard as a 2-drop that goes well with the black card you've taken. There's like the Friendly Rivalry, but like that one is an unfortunate color pair. I do love me some red-green, but it doesn't come together very often here. So yeah, this is again like a choice of like, do you pick the one that's like on color, or do you take the better card? And again, there you'd have to like consider the power level difference. Nate goes with the Faramir here. Again, I have to stress that he wants to leave himself open to like seeing if the Merry comes around. The merry-go-round, huh? Oh, there's a pun. Like, there has to be a pun there, right? Yes.
There we go. That's the name of this draft. That's fantastic.
And so, like, it's not like, you know, he's gonna be like, well, I'm just gonna like go straight into red-white because I know the Mary's really like, no. He's just gonna make sure he has some red and white cards, but then also like make sure that he has like other options. And then in case some like if it wheels, that's a huge signal, and he can just like pounce on it and close it off and like be like, now I'm red-white.
Yep. I guess this is part of somewhere. If I were in this seat, where my own, I guess, color preferences would start to kick in. Personally, I've got green ahead of white because I know what to do with green. Once you know to do the many partings Great Hall thing, it kind of makes sense. Whereas white, I'm still kind of lost on. Just it's both weak and it's shallow and not particularly synergistic. Is this just because I'm not good at it, or is there some element of truth to that?
I think white can definitely be kind of tricky, but it's like tricky in a weirdly straightforward way, because like it is also just about having a curve and like supporting your curve. So
like with creatures.
Yeah, no, I mean white is definitely a creature color. Through and through.
Why would you put creatures in your deck in this format?
What do you say?
Why would you put creatures in your deck in this format?
If you're not blue and red, then like that's a good reason to put creatures. But yeah, that's like definitely the thing. Like if you draft this format, like more of like the you know Grixis style, and like you know your creature content being really low, white is the exact opposite of that. Like it does something very different to the rest of the format. But it has some really strong like archetypes. Like, you know, in black white, that's especially where Faramir like really shines. Because you have sacrifice outlet and a bunch of tempt. So you can like repeatedly like trigger both abilities, and like red white just like has so many synergies. Like it can be an extremely strong pair and like very flexible too in terms of like how much it's like just like good cards in a curve versus like being this like super wide human aggro synergy thing. So it like there's like a lot of merit to white in that way. And even like you know like then we have like just the weaker color pairs like white green and white blue. They at least like they have some really strong uncommons, so you can make things happen. But
Yes.
Yeah, but the issue with white is that, like, you know, only 2 of its color pairs like can kind of come together at common, and the rest, the other 2 like is much more uncommon reliant.
Yeah, 100% agree. Yeah, great. All right, cool. Let's move on to pack on pick 4. So, oh boy, here we go. Okay, so we've got a Faramir Field Commander and a Nazgul and a Moria Marauder.
I will say, by the way, I think if I was to decide, I would have had like just black card, black card, black card. So,
really interesting.
I mean, I'm like doing this from the perspective of, whoa, holy smokes! There is a Mary. A second one. It's not on the wheel yet. Like this one hasn't wheeled, but he's got past another one.
This is another Mary.
And so,
oh boy! All right, so we've got a Mary, we've got a Goblin Fire Leaper, but we're just looking at this Mary.
There's also Stu the Conies, Protector of Gondor. But yeah, a lot of good cards in like this Naya colors. The War Beast of Gorgoroth as well, hiding in the back. But yeah, so it's really interesting, right? Because like now he takes the Mary.
Yeah.
And I just said that like he doesn't want to take a risk where he just like commits to red-white, and then he sees the Mary does the table, and he's like, oh no, I'm not the only red-white drafter. But the upside is probably there. Like what this means is at least like the people next to him aren't red-white. It also weirdly is going to increase the chance that the other Mary wheels, because remember, like the person opening this pack was like right across from him, pick 4. In that pack he passed, there were at least 4 cards that were better than the Mary, unless you were like willing to take a risk. Like, you know, there was the Birthday Escape, the Royal Chicken, and like the Ranged Firebrand. And so the person in pick 4 will see the Mary and be like, oh man, I already passed the Mary, so I don't think I can take this one now. That's at least a chance. There's also a chance that the exact same thing could happen as what Nate like is thinking. Like, of course, you would have like 2 dueling people, both opening Mary across from each other, and being like, oh, I'm gonna like try and wheel the Mary, and now I got past 1/4 pick, and I'm gonna take that one. So it's
like an actual merry-go-round, isn't it?
It is. This draft is literally a merry-go-round.
That's amazing.
And so like there's like, you know, some risk taking there, but the upside is huge. If you pass this Mary and the other one wheels, you just like gave up a huge opportunity. But if you take it now, like you might have to abandon it, and you might like have to like not lock yourself completely in. And like still try and be like, you know, black-white or black-red. But you could also just have 2 like red-white drafters. You know, there are 2 Marys open at the table. That usually increases the chances, right? So
yeah, and especially if they're on exact opposite sides.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe it's actually fine, but
yeah. And so worth noting with this pack as well, there are literally 0 black cards.
Yeah, that's true. That's a classic like Lord of the Rings pick 4 for you. The black just dries up really fast. But that's
so even with your start of 3 black cards, you would jump on the Mary here as well?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
On the merry-go-round. All right, let's go. Let's see where we pick up from here. This is an exciting start.
Yeah, it's kind of wild. I mean, you don't really see like that, like, you know, dynamic play out very often, but
yeah,
we'll see.
All right.
So there's a 2-drop. There's the Eagles of the North.
Okay, I'm very curious for the inside goss from Team Handshake on this pick. So we've got the Relentless Rohirrim, the Eagles of the North, the Battle-Scarred Goblin. Banished from Edoras is probably not in the conversation. Talk to me about these 3 cards.
Yeah, so something that's really like quite important in like the aggro decks in this format is that they can flood kind of easily, like even though the ring is going on. And so having like some of these 6-drop land cycles that you can replace lands with, like just replace lands 1-to-1.
Right, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, so to keep your spell count high. The second thing is the second thing is that like you're on red-white, and one of the red-white uncommons is Shadowfax, which you might get if the color combination is open. And Shadowfax is extremely strong with Eagles of the North.
Yeah, wow. That's very interesting. Yeah, that's a great point.
So both those factors mean that like, especially if I'm red-white, I'm actually gonna try and prioritize the Eagles of the North pretty like significantly. And so that's exactly what he does here. There's also another thing is that like he has already a 4-drop. This format in general has like a clunk at the 4-drop spot. So
Yes.
even though Relentless Rohirrim is strong, and
Yep.
it's a pseudo combo with Mary because it creates a legend, it's also like totally fine to not prioritize these because you will get enough, especially if you want to have like your red-white deck be a low curve deck.
Yeah, completely agree. And I guess along those lines, I'm not going to pretend to know very much about drafting red-white in this format. How critically do you need to prioritize picking up those 2-drops? Like when you see something as kind of met as a Battle-Scarred Goblin, are you thinking, I really need to snap that up, or is it just you'll get that later?
The good thing about red-white is that white has like 3 to 4 common 2-drops, depending if you want to count Nimble Hobbit or not. And so any white, that's like, talking about how to draft white, like one of the strengths of white is that like it's never gonna like hunger for 2-drops. So you can always like prioritize other stuff and then get the 2-drops later. Yeah, and
sure.
I
guess one of the advantages of the the Battle-Scarred Goblin is it doesn't have 1 toughness. I guess I don't know if your team.
Yeah, I like it. It's just not a human, which makes it worse in some versions of red white. Again, not all of them are human synergy.
Sure.
You can just be good cards. And yeah, but even like in both variants, the Battle-Scarred Goblin is totally fine. But you also don't need to pick it. Like you just need no pressure. You'll find something else to replace it. And it actually happens a lot in red white, where you end up with 2-drops in your sideboard. So yeah, it's pretty nice that you don't have to like really care about it. And you can pick up stuff like Eagles of the North, which is not replaceable, right? Like you can play, the 2/2 Vigilance, Eastmark Cavalier instead of the Battle-Scarred Goblin, but you like, I mean, maybe you can like pick up an Oliphant, but it's like 1 other column common, and it's like way worse than Eagles of the North in red white because you care much more about like buffing your go wide board.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Great. So while we just wait for the next pack to roll around, can you just give me some really quick thoughts on Grond? How did your team end up evaluating that? Does it like is that a pull back into black?
Grond. Those are my opinions. Yeah. So we have a reprieve being passed here, and that is like one of the very strong white uncommons. Also worth noting that there's like an Eastfarthing Farmer in the pack, which I want to like note because of another card that is in this pack, Hobbit Sting. Like when you're drafting whites, actually prioritizing the Eastfarthing Farmer can be pretty important. It's like an unassumingly powerful card. Javier calls it Siege Rhino because it comes in, deals some damage and gains 3 life. But I think the main thing about Eastfarthing Farmer is that like if you have like 2 of these, you enable Shire Sheriff and Hobbit Sting in your non-green white decks. So and those are like some of the really powerful white cards. So like the farmer is like it comes in at the 3-drop spot, which is kind of like a weak spot in like the format in general. White also has like the Errant Rider of Gondor on the 3-drop spot. So like white is like provides really good 3-drops, which the rest of the format like lacks. That's another advantage of white. And the farmer like can then enable some of the other good white cards to be like incredible. But the reprieve is probably just a better card, like especially in an aggro deck. Like, especially if you can do your curve low on turn 4, you play a 2-drop and keep up reprieve. Like it's very strong.
Yeah, so reprieve's kind of interesting, right? Because it's a counter spell that's better in an aggressive deck than a controlling deck. Am I right on that?
Yeah, it's definitely better if you're aggressive and have a lower curve. But I also want to like mention that counter spells are in theory better in aggressive decks anyway, if they're like cheap and flexible.
No, we don't like this.
Because they're just like like one of the ways that like an aggro deck can lose is the opponent plays like like a big blocker or like some like tempo gaining effect like a foray of orcs, and having a like flexible counterspell that can counter both creatures and non-creatures at like a cheap price point is actually like really supports well like a deck that's curving out. So reprieve is exactly that and replaces itself. Like you don't care much that it goes back to the hand because you draw another card, and it's just excellent in these white aggro decks.
Look, just don't tell the aggro players that they're allowed to play Mablu cards. Okay, that's not.
Well, Glorious Scale is not very good in aggro, so like you'll be fine.
Okay, good. As long as I can have Mystic Snake, we're all good. And then just last on this pack, is there any look in on the Quarrel's End?
No. That card is actually quite overrated. The red-white decks, you can play one, but you can play exactly one. And
Sure. Yeah.
And you prefer not to, I think. Like the good red-white decks, just like you'd rather have East Farthing Farmer in your deck than Quarrels at your free drop slot.
Yeah, that makes sense. I guess it's another way of dealing with that flood issue that you mentioned, but I guess from your perspective, it
Yeah,
wouldn't.
kind of, but
It's
like,
not impacting the board enough.
Something that's worth keeping in mind with these is that like it's dealing with flood and then you can discard a land, but it's drawing 2 cards, which is like a land half the time, like one of them.
Sure. Yeah.
And so it's like, you know, it doesn't do that. Like it just like you just convert a spell on a land into a spell on a land most of the time. So like it doesn't even do that much.
Moving cardboard between zones. I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Let's move on ahead. Cool. Pack 1, pick 7. I wonder what we could open in here. Can you think of anything that might be
Best
interesting?
possible thing to get past here? Like I don't know. I feel like, you know, we might have had our fill on like rares and such. So like maybe we just want to open a there's another Mary. Okay.
Oh, just okay. Third Mary. Why not?
Keep it cool. This is still not the wheel. This is another Mary.
No.
It's, by the way, I think like a third artwork, by the way. I think it's like
is, yeah, third different version, yeah.
Okay, well. Now
how much training did you have to give Nate Stoyer to like keep the poker face when he sees that?
Well, we didn't like actually film his face, but you will see that his eyebrow ever so slightly like inches upward. And that is like his way of signaling that he is stunned and appalled. Yeah.
That's amazing. Great. I mean, there's obviously no competition in that pack for what we're going to be taking, but
yeah, I mean, there was the Hobbit thing, and like, you cannot pass like cards I love and like another 2-drop.
Yep.
But so like this is by the way also good signs, right? Like both the last picks have like shown very very clearly that white is open no matter what, and then like now the Mary is coming, like the Mary is coming around here, and it's yeah, it's kind of like a gift shop. And like again, like, I mentioned this already, the fact that like someone has passed a Mary and now they can't take the one that Nate passed. Like,
yeah,
people have passed 2 Marys now. Like, and they're gonna think, oh no, the train is closed. Like, you know, this draft where you're like, oh man, I should have done this. I would have had such a good thing. It's always like this, right? And then you never like consider that. I mean, maybe it is not too late to like jump on the train. But
well, that's it, right? And like we're looking at this in kind of an extreme case where you've got 3 of the same rare, but we all encounter this in almost every draft, right? Where you see the one good black card and you think, no, I'll stay blue for the moment. And then there's another good black card and you think, oh, maybe the ship's passed. And at some point, you're supposed to just kind of bite the bullet, pull the trigger, and move in. But
Sam,
a lot of the time, we just
I
don't.
luckily don't have that problem, at least for black. Like when I see the first good black card, I'm just in. So
I don't know why would you move in on the second best color when you could just keep taking cards in the best color?
Yeah. I guess we have some fighting to do. Anyway, actually, our team was like pretty low on blue. Tristan Wild LaRue on our team had blue as the worst color. I just want to say.
Well, someone's not getting an invitation to Draft Punks.
Other opinions out there. But yeah, like blue can be sweet, but it's also like, you know, it has a very severe downside of not being able to produce creatures like when it wants to, except for like very few cases that are good. And so like you can be kind of clunky in a format that's like very much about tempo and the ring. Like, but good blue decks are good. So like, don't get me wrong. I'm just saying that like it was really good when people didn't know how to draft blue, and now it's fine.
Look, all I heard was blah blah blah. The good blue decks can be good. So let's move on. Okay, so having a look at our next pack.
Okay, we finally hit a brick here for the young folks. But it's okay. You can take the Esquire. Like now you have like, you know, 2 legends already, or 3 legends with the 2 Marys and the Faramir. Yeah, this one is okay to like be a 1-drop, but you're like, don't play it in like half your red-white decks, maybe even less. Like it's not that important.
Yeah, agreed. That's a good opportunity to start talking about the whole 1 toughness thing. The kind of ongoing mantra on our channel over the last couple of weeks has been my contention that X1s in this format are unplayable.
That is a little aggressive, but I will also try and hate pick Black Breath. So it's not okay. So the Mary did come back here.
Here we go.
Yeah. Pick 9, like the Mary tabled exactly like Nathan was like. Well, I wouldn't say it was predicting, but at least like, you know, thinking that it could. and now he gets super rewarded for this, like, you know, staying like open with the possibility of being red white, and then like he got fed more and more Marys, and like, you know, now he's a merry little chap with all his legends. So one thing to note here,
it worked out.
It's
out
not Mary.
It was kind
it's
of
not exactly a combo with itself, because it is a legendary card.
Yes.
And yeah, even though it doesn't like legends, like other legends. But it also means that like most of the time you will have a Mary on turn 2, and this means your priorities change a little bit. First of all, it's not a human, so you shouldn't, like, you're still gonna draft like the Urkenbrands and the Theodens. But like the equipment that equips to humans goes a little bit down because you're not actually gonna try and prioritize humans very much, because you know you're not gonna get an all-human deck. Second of all, any legend, especially cheap legend or cheap Tempt the Ring card, goes a lot up in value, because you just want to, you just want to like make sure that the Mary's not drawing cards really early. And this also means that the other cards that care about legends, such as Gimli's Axe and the Errand Rider of Gondor, you know, I said 2 cards there with a wildly different power level, or like you cannot pass. It's not a good example. White has a lot of good like cares about legend stuff. And like you kind of want to be more of a red-white legends deck than you want to be a red-white humans deck. So this just like changes the priorities. It also means that like normally with the ring temp cards, like there was this data that was produced recently that said that you can like that it was only at 6 ring temps that it starts being better than having 0 in terms of win rate, but then it just goes up from there. Because like you want to get to the second chapter. That's not true for this deck, because even the first ring temp counts as a legend. And so that's actually really important for the other cards you want to draft. So yeah, you don't have to go all in on drafting the ring temp cards and prioritize them, but it's just by keeping in mind that the ring temps count as another legend is important.
Yeah, great. No, that makes a lot of sense. And you've introduced me to what the text on Gimli's Axe says, so that's news to me. All right, let's have a look at our next pack here. This one looks pretty good.
Yeah, I definitely love the Lancer, and there is also a Gimli's Axe, but yeah, because that's like kind of the combo. Like you equip Gimli's Axe on Lancer, you make it a legend. Well, you don't even need to make it a legend because it already has math, but but then like it's just like a pain to deal with, and then like and then you make something else a legend and equip the Axe again, and it's gonna be
so. I've kind of cooled down off this a little bit, so I guess I'm curious to hear your take on it. At least a couple of weeks ago, I thought that the Rohirrim Lancer was better in the control decks than the aggressive decks.
No, but so I can see the merit in that. Like, it's not like it can actually also be good in control, or at least fine. But I think I think it's just like so good in the aggressive decks that like it, you know. That doesn't really. Yeah, it's like just not possible to be better. Because you in the aggressive decks, you really care about the 1 damage that just chips in every turn, and then like it's a human, it's a sacrifice outlet, it's a legend enabler. It's just wonderful, and it's like a really good ring bearer as well. Yeah.
No, that absolutely makes sense. In my world, it's just it's the little unblockable 1/1 that carries a ring and draws you an extra card each turn.
Yeah, and it's totally fine for that. So that's like why it's so good is that like it's a 1-drop that's also like fine in control decks.
Which is crazy, right?
We really like this trick here, Escape from Orthanc.
Yes, it's a good one.
By the way, also noting that the red-green fight spell, Friendly Rivalry, did table. Didn't really mention that when I said, like, be aware of things that could table and keep yourself open to it. But like when you see that in your pack 3, it's like also important to keep in mind that like, it's actually likely that it tables. So he could also like, try and keep like a door open to green if like white-red hadn't just fallen in his lap this hard. And then be rewarded for that when that wheels, right? So yeah, it's just like the keeping track of like good but narrow cards that could wheel is not just reserved for Mary. It can also like work with other types of cards.
Yeah, I mean that we touched on that. I remember a little bit last time, and I thought that was really interesting how you were talking about in any given pack you've got just like a couple of key cards that you've kind of got in the back of your mind that could potentially wheel, and that has significant implications when it does.
Oh my god, the disrespect. Takes the Gimli's Axe, but doesn't take the Gimli's Fury. The Gimli's Fury is, I think, would be a totally fine card in his deck. And then he gets the Farmer, like, last pick.
Pick 14 with
nothing in the back. Is just so undeserved.
Love it.
And I think, watching the rest of Nate's draft, I think he just doesn't respect the Farmer enough. And so, like, he doesn't even play that one, and it maddens me.
Oh, right.
Or at least, like, he has one in his sideboard. at the end. So
how much in your preparation? How much time do you spend talking about these kind of tier 2 to 3 archetypes, if I can call it that? Do you tend to spend a lot of time just talking about the places you want to end up, or do you try to spend a lot of time talking about the places you may well get pushed into?
Sam, I'm gonna have to be honest with you.
Oh, no.
Team Handshake's limited communication is borderline dysfunctional.
Oh no! Don't say this. I'm imagining you've just got like an entire version of Discord, just called Handshake Discord, that is only talking about limited. You have spreadsheets of every possible deck that could exist with rankings of cards and how they change when you pick up the cards. Don't ruin my.
Here's what we do. We do have a Discord where it's organized with like a draft section that has like, like 6 different categories where we post like our deck list. We can post draft logs, commentary, like asking about certain cards and how we rank them. Like this is happening. So it's not, when I say borderline dysfunctional, it's just like, we're better at constructed than we are at limited, where like we're the best team in the world, and here we are like 2 notches below best team in the world, probably. Like, so don't get me wrong, but it's like it's not it's not at the level that we really want it to be. So we actually like, if we spent like over the course of Wednesday and Thursday, we had 5 hours of limited meeting. But we didn't get to go over the archetypes like we wanted to. And so we haven't actually like discussed much of what red white entails. We've had like, some people on the team like Zach Keeney, who really likes to draft red white and drafts it in this more of a good card style deck rather than this much more synergistic approach. And so like because of that, and other people drafting synergistic red white decks, like we've been able to piece together like the different like ways that the deck can look. And we have also talked about like how the farmer is really good at enabling some of the other white cards, like I just mentioned earlier. So it's definitely like, we definitely like have this communication, but it's more about like a bunch of like bits that you have to like kind of catch.
Yeah, sure.
And if you're like an inattentive ADHD child like Nate is, it's like not always easy to catch all those like little popcorns. So so that's like the main story. Like we're not, because like a 5-hour limited meeting is just not good for like some people.
See, that sounds like heaven to me. If it's in Copenhagen, just invite me. I'll jump on a plane. That sounds amazing.
Yeah, sure. You can have the. I can like sneak you in under the table or something.
I promise I won't say anything and embarrass everybody.
Yeah, you just be like, but how about birthday escape? It's like ancestral recall, and then like, your takes are still like less egregious than Tristan's takes, but it's okay. So really fine.
Love it. All right, cool. Let's take a look at what Pack 2 has to offer for Mr. Stoya. All right, I've got there's some picks in here I want to ask you about, but as far as Nate's draft goes, this is pretty straightforward, right?
Yeah, the rest of the draft here is like mostly straightforward. There's like a few picks I'm going to disagree with, based on just my understanding of what's important in red-white. But most of the time, like, and especially like this type of red-white that he's going towards. But so far, like the like draft has mostly been on tracks, and he's just gonna like try and assemble the best red-white deck he can from this spot. So here he gets the Smite the Deathless, very clearly the best card in the pack. And one thing he's lacking right now is removal, and so it's just nice to pick some of that up.
100%, yeah. So this is a really good example of one of those drafts where you kind of feel things out for a couple of picks at the start, and then your lane becomes very clear, and then you're kind of on rails for the rest of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Basically, like at this point, like the only thing is like just keeping in mind like the holes you need to fill out. So like one of them is removal spells. And other things are like legend payoffs and like legend makers, right? Like this is basically what he tries to focus on. And then I think he wants like more lands so he can get them, because it's like really nice to curve like 1-drop into Mary into like an Errand Rider of Gondor. That's another card and like gets really high up in his pick range, because of that like triple 2-drop legend. Yeah.
Okay, I just want to pick your brain on this, because I actually had this exact pick as a Pack 1 pick 2 in our most recent draft video. The Dunlin Corbane versus Bitter Downfall.
Oh, you take the Bitter Downfall.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's like pretty clear. I think Bitter Downfall is better than Claim the Precious, which makes it better than every common.
Oh, wow. Oh, okay. I've been taking Claim over Bitter Downfall. That's
but the thing is, like, Bitter is more splashable, and it is instant speed, and the 2 damage matter a lot, and the casting it for 1 mana mode matters a little bit. I actually did that in at the Pro Tour because I had Orchid Bowmasters and I went like pew pew. Yeah.
Oh
pretty good.
wow.
So-
Yeah, must be nice. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I value tempted by I value the ring tempt use so highly that it kind of puts that.
Yeah,
above
and you
all
also
that
draft more
stuff on
controlling
Bitter
decks,
Downfall.
which makes Bitter Downfall worse for multiple reasons. Because
Sure, that's true.
you don't care as much about the 2 damage. You probably care more about instant speed though and special ability. So I don't know, maybe it evens out.
Interesting. Okay, cool. That's good perspective to get. Okay, so we slam the smite the deathless here.
Mhm.
What are we most hoping to see aside from 4th Mary?
I think actually we kind of like full on Marys now. I think I just want, like, as I said, like Errand Rider of Gondor is a card that is a white common you don't have yet that you want more of. You just want more removal, and then like you'll take any bomb. Like writing out with a Shadow Fax is another thing he's gonna be looking for, and that's like kind of reserved.
Look what
Like,
it is.
oh, perfect. Yeah. There's also this Black Breath that I kind of like want to just like take so that no one else has it, but not right now. Maybe you can wheel. You can
Look,
pick it up
there's
then.
no point. If it's not the Black Breath, it's Cast into the Fire. If it's not that, it's Deceive the Messenger. If it's not that, it's Fear Fire Foes. X1s in this format? No,
They're definitely
not
under the
even
gun.
once.
It is a fact.
Yeah.
But yeah,
All
it's
right,
okay.
so slam that Errand Rider. Nice and
Definitely.
easy on that one.
Definitely. Yeah, like basically like he has like right now he has no 5-drops, and mentally his 5-drop slot is gonna be like reserved for Eomer and Shadowfax. Because I think he wants a really low curve because of the Marys and the Reprieve.
Yeah.
So he's not gonna have. Like, you can draft red white with like 3 5-drops, but that's not really what he's looking for. And here he gets a Book of Masterful.
All right, so yeah, so Book of Marzipan, I think it's pronounced. Book of Marzipan and the Gimli counter of kills. Am I looking at that correctly?
Yes,
He doesn't
that
even
does look like a
consider
Gimli
the
counter of
Gimli.
kills, yeah.
Yeah, is that not on our radar? Not an
No,
important
it's.
pick.
I mean, it's like not nearly as good as like a Marzipan book, but
Sure. Yeah.
just that's just like delicious and a nice like topping to a dessert. But but the Gimli is a legend, and so normally you don't care about it that much in red white, but this red white
Oh,
thing is different. Also, like it's really good with you cannot pass because you trample plus removal is a cute combo.
Yeah.
And that's another card that he's interested in. So like normally you wouldn't be, but yeah. And he only has like 1 4-drop so far, I think. Only has the Faramir. So like he's probably fine. But it's also a lot of priority. And it often tables. So yeah. He'll just
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, the Marzipan seems like the clear pick here. I like that he's pulled the Great Hall to the front. It's just if you can pick them up, it gives you just a neat out if all of a sudden your archetype closes off.
Actually, I think
Oh,
I think it's worth playing 1 Hall in this deck because he has 3 Marys, even if you're straight red white, just as fixing. Because it makes it more likely
Sure.
to cash or to drop on turn 2.
that's a great point. Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic.
So,
You lose some of the flex style of going like Forest into Mary on turn 2.
yeah. That's definitely like something really cool. And then like of course if you pick up like a couple of them, you can actually like splash a Pippin or something that you get later.
Yeah.
Just for the full Marian.
Okay, cool. So yeah, very much on rails so far for Pack 2 as we get some Marzipan there. And I think that's probably going to be the story for a lot of the rest of this draft.
Yeah, it's not
Although
really,
we've got
it's not really super interesting, but I can actually tell that like you can really extract a lot of info from me about like the format in general. And by you I mean like you, Sam, like good at extracting the knowledge from me. So it's still like good to watch here. Here he has...
I thought where you were going with that was just that I've got a lot to learn.
Oh, yeah, wow, missed opportunity, yeah. But no, I think actually that's not true because I just don't think you can learn. Like you're so sending your ways into blue, and there's like no helping. But for the dear viewer out there, like there's still time for you. Like you can put down the glorious scale and pick up your relentless Rohirrim, and you'll be rewarded.
Oh, I thought he was going to go nice for a second, and then
No.
boom, I get hit. All right, we need to talk about this pack now. So another reprieve. Well, yeah, second reprieve against our first Relentless Rohirrim, our second Rohirrim Lancer.
Is there a Rohirrim Lancer in this pack as well?
Is there a Lancer in this pack? I think there is. Or is that a Russian?
Yeah, I think so too. I think I actually noticed that.
Yeah.
when I was watching the draft the first time, yeah. But he kind of like doesn't even consider it, which is a little bit weird. Might have just like not seen it. Because I definitely think Lancer is better than Relentless Rohirrim in this deck. Because
100%.
yeah, I just want my curve low. Well, the upside of Relentless Rohirrim is that it kind of like quote unquote curves better with Mary, because you go like like Mary into like the Errand Rider, and then into something that immediately makes the Errand Rider into a legend, and you draw like attack and draw another card, and it's just
that's sick.
Yeah, no, and that is just nasty. But I think you'd rather just have the lower curve, especially now you pick up a second reprieve. 4-drops get so much worse because your turn 4 should be 2-drop plus reprieve.
Yes, yeah, 100%. Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. I guess the other question in that pack is there was a pick for Bath Song. So how wrong was Nathan to pass that?
I think
in favor
it's
of
not
taking more red
Nathan
and
was
white
wrong,
cards?
but it was the 3 people passing to him.
So 4 people that are wrong. Got it. Okay, cool. Nope,
Sure.
This all makes sense. All right, moving on.
Bath Song is, like, in our estimation, maybe the best uncommon. Like, we're actually on board for that.
Oh,
So yeah, I just want to let you know, like, yes, we like rank it really highly.
Sam for team handshake. Let's go.
Yeah.
Get the petition going. Cool.
Okay, so
all right,
here
we
he
got a
actually
whole bunch
gets a
of green
blank
in
pack
here.
I think he's gonna
Yeah.
take the Marriott Duck because it's legendary, and he has the 3 Marys, and so like if you go to Great Hall, like that's a combo.
And it's Merry Tribal.
And it's very tribal. I think personally I would take the Wizard Rockets because of the Improvised Club. It's a good thing to search that, and then maybe end up splashing something else.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Realistically, does not matter. You're not gonna play it. Like your colors are too open. You just had like a blank pack.
That's it. Yeah, we press Alt on the Arena account to see what we need to fill the collection.
Here we have sure. Here we have the Breaking of the Fellowship, which like you're gonna take here. I mean, there are some other options like Nibble Hobbit and another Esquire of the King. But as I said, like even the first Esquire you don't always play. You're just not gonna put a second one in your deck. And the Breaking of the Fellowship does create a legend, and works really well with Mary for that reason. So
Yeah. So outside of the fringe scenario where you happen to have 3 Marys, how well do you like breaking
I love it
in these sort of decks?
yeah, I just
really?
want
Right,
like
okay.
I want one in almost all my red decks.
Okay,
and
sure.
I can play 2 if I'm pressed. For like
Okay.
because it's not really removal. That's the important thing to keep in mind. But it is just like a ring temp enabler and some way to like. It's more like playing a 2-drop that like trade to your opponent's 3/2, rather than its removal. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So it's a little bit like an overcosted Birthday Escape that doesn't draw a card.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good. Okay. Cool.
Wait. Sure. Yeah. No. I mean, that's, yeah. It's definitely just the worst Birthday Escape. Yeah, I agree. But same thing. Like, does something that's worth a card and tempt the ring.
Yeah.
So here he has the Farmer and the Blade. I already mentioned that I don't think the Blade is that good in his deck. Like one reason why Farmer is like less good in red-white, like would be less good in red-white, is because it's not a human. As I say, like you don't at this point you don't have any human synergies, and I don't think you care that much about humans. But I do think you care about like because you're a little bit low on removal. So I think it's important that you can enable any halflings things you might get later, and any Shire Sheriffs. Like those 2 cards are just super good, but they don't work if you don't have the East Fighting Farmers. So yeah, I would just take the Farmer here.
Yeah, that's great. That's a point you've come back to kind of a couple of times now. Is you've got kind of an awareness of some of the more powerful cards that you would be hoping to open for your particular archetype. And if you're wide open, you may even expect to get
Yeah. No, I mean,
and
yeah,
so,
wide is open. Like I would definitely like expect at least like I want to leave the possibility open because it's really bad if you like see a halflings thing, but you're like your creature count is not that high and your curves maybe a little bit wonky and you can't actually take it in your white deck that's lacking removal. Like it feels so bad.
Yeah.
And the Farmer just makes the halflings thing like it's just a lot better.
Yeah, and I mean you've talked about kind of planning to I guess preparing to potentially have a Shadowfax or a Theoden, or we've kind of mentioned a couple of these cards, and I really like that you're thinking about the cards that will synergize well with those if we're able to pick them up, which is not so unlikely.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's definitely like a big part of like white is making sure that like you can like put these pieces together that like the like small packets of synergy. And
Yep.
because like the issue with white is that like some of its cards, like you cannot pass is another good example where like that card I think is really strong, but sometimes it's unplayable if you don't have enough legends. And so this means like whenever you're in white, you pick legends higher. Also for like Errand of Gondor. And so like for instance, if you're black white and you see a Gothmog that like 2-drop like completely vanilla 2/2 in black, that's a legend. You just prioritize that higher than the other black 2-drops. Because being a legend is important for enabling your other cards.
Yeah. Oh, that makes a lot of sense. I really like that. Great. Just taking a look at this next pack that we've got. There's a Tale of Tenuvior. Can you just talk to me a little bit about this card? Is this?
I cannot. I don't know how good it is. I really don't. I've never played with it. My teammates can't give me a straight answer. I think it's supposed to be fine, but it's probably like I think it also works a little bit worse than you might expect. It's good with land cyclers, but you're just not really interested in here. And
it's been high variance for me. Like it's only made it into my deck a couple of times, and when it makes it in, it's really good. But every other time, it's completely garbage. So
the issue is that like it's not that good at like keeping you getting you back when you're behind.
Yes. Yeah. There was a pack that went by a moment ago with the Rising of the Day. Does that even warrant a mention if we're drafting the legends more highly in this particular build?
It's funny that you mentioned that because I actually won a match because of that card in the tournament. Because of Rising of the Day. But I think it's like as a baseline unplayable, but I think it makes sense for Nate to take it now. Like if knowing what I know now, I would take that, but knowing what I knew then, I would take the Rush, if that makes sense. Like I learned this over the course of the Pro Tour that it has merit, at least as a sideboard card. Sometimes, like against bounce spells and like, you know, high toughness blockers, aka against the blue decks, it actually is playable as a sideboard card.
Yeah, great. I'm glad it's not just me that learns things mid-tournament then.
Yeah, no. It's like tournaments is like the best place to learn stuff. Also, once we go over my draft, like I will criticize myself quite a bit because I've like definitely made some wrong picks because of things I only learned like at the tournament. But yeah, anyway, looking through the deck here, I mean, his second deck was not that good. There were like, it started out really well. Like the first 4 picks are just like excellent, and then it kind of like teetered off. But I think it's just like sometimes it's the nature of the packs. Like, there's no guarantee that there will be good red-white cards in like open in all the packs, and so you will have packs sometimes that are just empty for you, and that's fine.
Yeah, and it certainly didn't look like red-white was closed. It just looked like it was a slightly lower power level than pack 1.
Yeah, and that's okay because your pack 1 was really good, and your pack 3 is going to be really good, and you like still got like 4 good cards out of this pack, and that's like basically all you can ask for anyway. So so basically what I'm looking for at this point, the removal spell count is like still a little bit low. I would like another piece of removal. I would like another Lancer, and I would like some of the like uncommon legends to like fill up the upper parts of my curve. As I mentioned, like the 5-drop slot is reserved. I'd like to get that filled out. If I don't get Eomer or Shadowfax, I want like the Warbeast of Gorgoroth, or even the Stalwarts of Isgiliath. I would play a copy in this deck. There's also a combo with Mary, which is like you don't actually need to go to the second chapter when you have 3 Marys. You just need to like play it, make something legend, attack, grow it.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. This might be a good spot to talk about. If you're in that sort of draft where you're just not seeing removal and you just can't pick any to save your life, what goes up in priority for you at that point?
Well, things that otherwise help me push through damage. So like the Eastfarthing Farmer, combat tricks, like the Escape from Orthanc is really good. The Gimli's Axe is another good way to like push through. Because like the fact that you're aggressive means that you also don't need to kill that many things. You just need to make sure that like you don't get stopped because the opponent plays a 3/3.
Yes, yeah.
So it's just about like having more things to buff in that case. And sometimes like you don't even want that much removal. So there's an Urban Brand, that's another way to buff your team, and it's a legend. So this introduces some of the human synergies. You don't have that many humans, but it's actually fine. Like there's no what's it called? The like Rally at the Hornburg? Yeah. He hasn't seen any of them in the draft right now. That's the big combo with Erkenbrand. But I don't think you really need to in order for this card to be totally fine. And it's just, especially like with the Marys, right? Because a lot of the issue with Mary is that very quickly the opponent will play something that's 3 toughness, and then Mary can't attack anymore. So you just want to like buff it up enough so that it can trade and draw a card.
Yes.
And Urkin Brand does that.
Yeah, the few times I've drafted red-white in this format has been when I've had Urkenbrand plus Rally plus Protector of Gondor, where you can really just
so
kind of explode
beautiful
at people.
to have like the.
It's so good.
Yeah, on turn 6 you just go like Urkenbrand plus Rally, and the opponent thought they were winning, and now they die. Okay, so here's a Smite
Now-
list, which we're definitely interested
Here's
in.
an interesting one.
But there's also a Shire Sheriff, and there's also a Foria of Orcs.
4 of Orcs. What a trifecta. Talk to me about this.
So, if I had a second halfling in my deck, I think the farmer. If I had a second East Farthing farmer, I think Shire Sheriff would be the pick. He also doesn't have any Protectors of Gondor, so like maybe that's still a little loose. He does have Faramir, which provides humans. Yeah, maybe actually he doesn't have any rallies. Yeah, so maybe the Shire Sheriff is not actually that good, so maybe he probably would pick this mine anyway. The Foria of Orcs, I think, is just not that good in his deck.
Not that good in general, or not in this particular
No, it's
deck?
very, very good in blue-red or blue-black, or red-black.
Okay.
Because you actually have armies, and so if you can,
Yeah.
deal 4 damage with it, it's very good. But here, it's just a 4-mana 2/2 that shoots for 2. And it can be fine, but it's fine in some matchups and not in others. As I mentioned, the reason you want removal is to break through X3s and X4s, and Foria of Orcs doesn't help you with that. Another thing is that I want to, as mentioned, that I don't want 4-drops, because I want my turn 4 to be 2-drop plus Reprieve.
Yes.
So I think you just take one of the 2 mana
absolutely.
cards here, very clearly. For me, at least.
No, I love that. Because I faced that question with the control decks as well, and I used to take 4A, but now I'm starting to lean more towards Smite. I want all my cards to be cheap.
Yeah, and I think that I think it makes sense. It's like it's still pretty good, but yeah, it definitely like not as broken as it looks.
Yeah, which is interesting. It's like it's one of the better Flame Tongue Kavu variants we've had.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I still I still take it over every common impact one, pick one. It's just now we have so much more context.
Yeah.
And
that's
it's
a
also
really
another thing is that like
interesting,
since red green like so rarely comes up, most of the time when you're red, you're gonna be like either blue or black, where it is actually good. And he does actually take the Foria of Orcs here, completely punting his entire Pro Tour on this one pick here. This is Nate's start to a quick 0-5 exit, spiraling out of control. No, I mean it's fine. He ends up playing it. I disagree with it, but it's okay. Like it's not
Okay.
Yeah.
Once you're done XOing Pro Tours,
yeah,
can we get in as a commentary pair just so we can get that over Nate's drafts the whole time?
I'm not sure Nate would appreciate that. I really hope he doesn't watch this video. I'm sorry, Nate. I love you. You're great. I still want to like reiterate, right? Like Nate is really, really good. But yeah, I mean,
it's my influence. It's my influence, Nathan. Blame it all on me. This is all the filthy Australians doing.
Yeah. The good thing is also like it's just like sometimes it's like nice to remember that like even the really good players are like very human and make mistakes, and especially draft it's a format where like you just never go mistake free. Like everyone is gonna like mess up a draft like, multiple times. So it's just
100%.
It's just good to see, right?
Yeah.
And I think I honestly also think that Nate's strength is way more in his playing than in his drafting. So at least it's quite swingy, right? But and he'll like even when he like gets a medium deck, he'll make up for it and play like he did last PT by like 3-0 or 2-0 split to draft. So
and I'm looking forward to hearing your thoughts on your draft as well, because self-critique on that sort of thing is really hard.
It's definitely,
but it's also really healthy, and so I'm very much looking forward to that. So let's get through all this red.
Yes, let's do that first. Yeah. And so here there's a Shire Sheriff, which again like his deck isn't enabling that much, but it's actually fine. Shire Sheriff is just
Still
a 2-drop. Like you don't need to have it be a removal spell. I think. Like, if I'd last pick the Shire Sheriff, you could take the Protector of Gondor here, because then you would also have a 2-drop slot opened.
Yes. Yeah.
Or a 4-drop slot opened. Sorry. I think there's also a chance you could take Eagles here, because, like, once you're about to reach the number of playables, it's fine. But Nate also hasn't picked up any, like, 2-drops that aren't rare. And so, which is absurd to say. He still has 4, right? So this is a 5th 2-drop, which is an okay number. You don't
Yeah.
need to like go haywire on that. You can like play one more, I guess, but it's not that
Yeah,
important.
yeah.
But yeah, just picking up now, being safe, wishing there was more ways to produce tokens. Oh, there's a farmer, so maybe he'll take that now. Surely, he just took the Shy Sheriff. He wants to enable
Farmer?
it.
What farmer? Simon, there's a Gandalf sanction in this pack.
It's not for Nate. That is, he's gonna pass that to you, sitting right next to him. And
Is
you're
it
most
too
likely
late?
happy.
Can we move in?
There's also another card here. There is the Lancer, which he like once again seems to ignore.
Yeah.
And like, as I said, he has like 3 4-drops now, which is like I think the absolute maximum I want. And takes another 4-drop here over the Lancer. I think this pick is also very wrong. I think like he's thinking that the Relentless Ram works better with Mary, which is true. But yeah, it just like punishes him even further. Okay, here's another farmer.
Yeah.
Nate. Oh, actually, no, there's an Errand Rider of Gondor. Okay, never mind. We're not gonna pick it up now.
Never getting these.
Yeah,
farmers.
no. That you know, the Errand Rider is way better than the farmer. That's
Yeah, no, that's fine.
not a question.
We've had that choice between the farmer, the Relentless Rohirrim, and the Lancer a couple of times, and it's that's kind of interesting to see.
Well, yeah, I
I was-
basically just
what
want
you
like
just-
I want like about 2 farmers in my deck. They do get kind of
Yeah.
better than multiples, but there's also like a limit to like how many like low powered cards, because it's also like a little bit of a low powered card by itself, right? And once it has enabled the
Yes.
things it needs to enable, you don't really need more. Here's another reprieve, which like
Holy crap!
it makes it like a little bit awkward that like we actually don't have that many 2-drops, and has more falls here. So I think,
Just hold
I
up 2
think,
reprieves.
honestly, I think here I would take the Westfold Rider.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's got 1 toughness.
Yeah, I'm not sure I would main take it, but at least it's a cyber card against
Okay.
like artifacts and enchantments. I'm not quite sure. Reprieve is really strong. This is like
Yeah.
this is a big one. Like my opinion could very easily be wrong. But I'm
Yeah.
thinking that Reprieve doesn't get that much better in multiples, but maybe that's off, because if you just go like Reprieve, like maybe that's fine. Gets an
Right, that's a way to win a game,
win
yeah.
here, which is very nice.
Yeah,
Uh,
is Eowyn? I started really high on Eowyn, and I've kind of come down a little bit. Am I wrong on that? Is she just really good?
I think she's really good, especially since like you
Okay.
are Red White Legends and she's a legend. And she
Of
makes
course,
combat
yeah,
like really
yeah.
awkward in a lot of spots. And you also do have the equipment,
True.
which
yeah,
is
and
another
are
thing,
we
by the way,
planning-
that like the whole like picking white cards that can enable your future picks. Picking up that that sword
Oh.
earlier that I mentioned I wasn't happy
Stop.
with. Oh,
Stop the presses.
oh, he got the
Stop
shadow
talking about
backs.
Eowyn.
Actual last
Let's
possible pick.
go.
Pack 3, pick 8.
Oh, that's incredible. Like, was that the best possible open for our deck?
I mean, it's definitely, yeah, I mean, like, best possible realistic 8th pick. Like, obviously,
Okay, sure. For
you would
yeah,
rather have
for cards that
Airmare and, like, rares and such. But Shadowfax is something that could very realistically table the entire way
Yeah.
around, because it is multicolored. And he really wants that here. Like, it's just a nice curve
Yeah.
topper. He has an Eagles already. There was another Eagles
Yes.
before that might table.
Yep.
And so, yeah, it's just great here. And also, it's good with stuff like Erkenbrand.
oof, yeah. Oh, very nice. Yeah, that's incredible.
And it's
yeah.
a hasty legend,
probably
which works
the-
well with Mary.
Yeah. So yeah, aside from things that rhyme with Corn of Gondor, that's probably one of the better we could have opened.
Don't you mean Corn of Fundor?
Yes, that's exactly what I meant.
Or Corn of Odor.
Hold the door.
Oh. Not
I
anymore.
like that one. All right. Nothing too much coming around in our last couple of picks.
Yeah, I guess I should just
So-
like finish what I mentioned with the Eowyn and the sword before I got interrupted. But yeah, like picking the sword
Yeah.
earlier makes your future Eowyn's better. That's all I wanted to say. Yeah, okay.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. Another card that you can kind of prepare for with your earlier picks.
Yeah. And the same thing with Gimli's Axe, it's also a combo with Eowyn.
So with I guess basically the full pool here, do you think that Nate will end up with some of those equipment in the deck?
He ends up with the sword in the deck, which I'm not super happy with it. I think there's even a chance that the axe is better, but he only has one lancer, which I would have also like made sure I had a second one. He definitely had the option to.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it's a little bit awkward. I think it's fine. Like his deck is totally good. There's like a few things I would have different, but he has like so many playables that he has good cards on the sideboard. He actually gets the farmer here anyway, and yeah, this he only ends up playing one of his two. So yeah, just paying no respects at all. But that's okay. He also doesn't have a Hobbit Sting, so like it actually isn't like as important right now. He has the Shire Sheriff, which gets a lot better if you have the farmer. Like you can imagine stuff like a Mary into like the farmer pushing through, and then you go like Shire Sheriff, exile something, keep up reprieve. That's a really strong curve. So that would be nice to have enabled. And I think like there was a point where he could have taken the second Smite the Deathless, where he took Foray of Orcs. I definitely don't like him having the Foray in this deck. Would have been way better to have the removal spell there, but But all in all, I mean it's a really strong deck, and the only way he would ever like lose a match here is if he like mana screws twice. So that can't possibly happen, right?
No, that's
that is exactly
basically impossible.
Yeah.
No, I couldn't imagine.
He does lose
like
the
you wouldn't end up
draft.
with you wouldn't end up with a hand that's got like 2 planes and a Moriamur order or something.
yeah,
Not
that
likely.
could definitely happen. I think he actually said that it was like the classic like screw into flood scenario, which like happens. But that's like such a classic, where it's like you don't really know if your deck has like too few or too many lands. And in reality, it's just the magic cards giving you a bit of a ride. We can actually see his final deck here if you just go a little bit further in the video. Yeah, here we go. So if you can pause that.
Cool. Yeah. So we did end up with the one blade, and then for combat tricks we got the escape from Orthanc.
Yeah, which you do like, but he doesn't play the +1/+0 first strike, which is a way worse card, so that makes sense. His 4-drop count is a little high here with like 4 4-drops. I would have been totally fine without the Relentless Rohirrim and without the Foray because of the reprieves. And I think you could definitely use like another Lancer or another 2-drop or another Smite the Deathless, right? Like these are the things that could change. He could maybe play a second farmer, but it's less. Like he has a lot of 3-drops here. He has like 5, so it's less important to have more 3s. But yeah, like the deck is really good. So.
Yep. Nope. That's
you also noticed that he plays like his mana base was like 8/8 with the 1 eagle, so like he replaced a land like 1-1 with the eagle, and that was that's exactly how you want to do it. Because you don't want, because the eagle is not a spell you would want to put in your deck, like 6 mana 3/3 flyer pump your team, which is too clunky. So the fact it doesn't count as a spell means you're often gonna land cycle it, which means you just have more lands than you would want. So
that's it. That's great. That's fantastic. Okay, great. Next up, we've got the how do I say pièce de résistance in Danish?
I don't even know what it means in French.
Cool.
Next up, I think I would say in Danish.
He probably just called me something really rude, and I have no idea.
Wait, it's just like, do you speak French? That's in French.
Next up, we've got Simon's own draft from day 2 of the Pro Tour. After going XO 8-0, he lands on the feature pod.
I was really hoping that would be the camera feature match here, a feature drafter. But
I know he messaged me kind of at the end of day 1, and we were pumped. We thought we were going to get the actual feature spot.
But then featured Kai, to be fair, which
who's this guy? Kai Buddha? Who's this? I've never heard of this guy.
I think it's pronounced Kai Bud.
Kai Bud, yeah.
He is one of the best players of all time. He has won 7 Pro Tours. 7.
You win 7 Pro Tours and they just hand out titles like greatest of all time.
Yeah, and then he was also like had a stint at professional Magic, being in the Rivals and MPL leagues when that was a thing. And so he just had like an online era like here during COVID as well. So he's been like in the loop. And he was and then like he has his Hall of Fame invite, so he decided to use it for the European Pro Tour instead of going to the US. He ended up like 7-1 on day 1 and some H the tournament. Classic, like his first paper Pro Tour since like the last time it was like Barcelona. So he's back.
That's it. Yeah.
His last Pro Tour debate was like Amsterdam 2010.
That's incredible. That's awesome. I mean, yeah. For those that don't know him, 7 Pro Tour wins. And I think the next highest behind that is 3.
Yes, I believe you're correct about that. I
Which is
don't remember who it is.
unreal.
Maybe
I
John?
don't-
Who has
How many does PV have? Is PV 2?
PV has 2 at least that I know. Did a world championship
Look,
with.
I don't think that Kai's record will ever be broken. I think he has that for the rest of
You
Magic's
just
history.
cannot. So
Yeah.
and he only has like, this was his 12th Pro Tour top 8. Like
Incredible.
he won 7 out of 11. Which like fun fact, ended up naming a global convenience store chain. So because of Kai's
wow.
results. Yeah, that's how it works.
That's awesome. All right, next up, the Simon Nielsen special.
Oof.
We'll be back in just a moment. All right, welcome to the feature pod on day 2, featuring this guy called Simone Nielsen, who I've never heard of, but everyone else in the pod is quite famous.
I think it's Simon Nielsen.
Sorry, I don't speak Swedish.
Yeah. Exactly.
Now,
I'm sorry.
here's how we put this one together. Kai Bud, I think Simon told me his name was pronounced, was the feature drafter for this draft.
Mhm.
Using his draft and some key information from Martin Dominguez, who we thank for helping us out with this, we've been able to piece together Simon's entire draft, short of 2 packs, which you'll see when we get up to them. So yeah, by some miracle, even though he wasn't on camera, we've actually got basically Simon's entire draft here. So we get to kind of dive right into the mind of the mad genius and kind of see where all of this is coming from. So I'm very excited about that. Before we launch into it, Simon, do you want to talk about who's at this pod? This is no longer a pod of nobodies.
No, this is the pod 1 on day 2, which means like everyone here is 7-1 or like me at 8-0.
Yeah.
And it also means that like everyone here like either went 2-1 or 3-0 in their first draft pod, right? Like no one here sucks at this.
Yes, yeah.
This means a lot of like this is like a proper Pro Tour draft where like it's so different from the arena draft because all the good cards dry up so quickly, and you have to figure out which scrap cards you're gonna try and make good.
Yeah.
So that is key. To boot, this draft pod, like the power level of the packs in general was like generally not that good.
Yeah.
Which also makes it interesting, right? Because you all have like kind of scrappy decks. So yeah, it's a really cool one here. We have going around the table, like from my seat here. Like I'm at 8-0, passing to Martin Dominguez, who is the South America Regionals winner. I'd already beaten him on day 1. I saw how was his only loss, and he was really like dreading like playing me in the draft rounds as well. He's passing to Kai Bude, who was the feature drafter here. So if you've watched the feature draft, you already know what's going on there. And with like Kai and me, definitely have some like interesting things going on, like being 2 seats apart here.
Yes.
So, and yeah, we already introduced him, like one of the best players of all time. Timer coming back, still got it. Passing to Christian Calcano, the grinder extraordinaire. He has a previous Pro Tour top 8. He's a limited expert. He is like I've been teammates with him before. I mean, he's a really good friend of mine. He's very good at like making bad cards work. I just mentioned how that's important for PT drafts.
Yeah.
And so yeah, he's a very scary opponent here. We got Kazune Kusaka, who I'm not familiar with already. Katsune Kusaka, probably. Who I'm not familiar with already, but like was one of the like Tron players who did well in the modern portion. And finds themselves here at the top of the table. Then we got a teammate of mine, Zach Keeney from New York, who is like he has like last season he had an incredible season with 2 Pro Tour top 8s in the online ones, and it's still like here like among the top people here. He 3-0'd his first draft, lost to me in the 7-0 Tron Mirror, and is ready to do his thing. Which like his draft strategy, I alluded to this earlier, is that he's much more about like just playing good cards, having like he values having everything trade for a card as much as possible, and he really likes the Maru decks. So like he's actually like not even like that much of a blue drafter. He did draft blue white in the first one, but just wants like solid card. He doesn't mind the high curve, etc. Then we have Jake Beardsley, previously unknown because it's like this is his first Pro Tour.
Yes.
But he did also 7-1 on day one. He actually ends up winning the Pro Tour. So probably no slouch either. Passing to Greg Orange, the Citrus Assassin. He is a constructed control specialist. Has had like last year he also had a crazy season with being one of like the top players without a top 8 last season. Made it to a World Championship. He is but he also has like a previous Pro Tour win in the Team Pro Tour. But yeah, he's probably like being at the Pro Tour for like years and years, even though he's a constructor specialist, like you can't be a slouch at limited. Like you just get better at by being at the Pro Tour. So and he's
a very consistent performer as well.
Yes,
he just
very
regularly performs well.
And he's passing to me, and this is really interesting. Greg is 7-0-1 yesterday. He picked up a draw, but he has no loss. This means that the 8-0 and the 7-0-1 are gonna get paired in the first round, for sure, because we are like seed 1 and 2. And we happen to be next to each other in the draft. Now, normally, you're not supposed to hate draft. If you know for a fact that you're paired against the person that's passing to you, that is actually something that should be on your mind. And so, I don't actually remember like how much it came up. I don't think much. But I was definitely like thinking in some spots that like, okay, maybe I should, really.
Interesting. Okay, I actually didn't realize this because when you run a draft kind of properly, which a lot of the time we don't bother when we're just drafting with our mates, but you should play against the person who is kind of diagonal from you. So if you're in seat 1, you should play the person in seat 5. But that's not how it works.
That is how you do a top 8 draft. When you know all the pairings. But here we don't know all the pairings. They're like, in principle random, because we all have the same record, except 2 of us don't have the same record. Like we're actually, guaranteed to be paired. And so the Pro Tour drafts does like a Swiss draft pod where everything is just like randomized.
Yeah, right. That's very interesting. I didn't know that. Okay, that's going to make things quite interesting as we progress. Great, let's dive into it. Before we do, I just have to pick up on that Tron mirror that you played against Zach Keeney. I know that we're supposed to only talk about draft and not filthy constructed on this channel, but please go look up that match. It was round 8 of the Pro Tour.
Round 8 of the Pro Tour, It's if you can spare like 5 minutes, go look up that match.
It's really funny. No, it's very funny.
I think we had like less than 3 minutes of gameplay, honestly, but we had like more gameplay of Mulligan for sure. Yeah.
It's great. Go check it out. All right, let's dive into Simon Nielsen's pack 1, pick 1. All right, we've got. What's this card here? Have you heard of this card? I've never heard of this card before.
When you're like, in the like. Draft pod number 1 at the Pro Tour, and your lock streak has not run out yet because you're opening Orcish Bowmasters. Not only a $50 card or $60 card, but also it's one of the best cards, like rares in the format. So in the column that I want to be in, because I already alluded to this before, but my strategy is to like, I'm kind of like assuming that I'm black, leaning towards black-red. And then I'll just be very quick to move off it if like something seems afoot. That's like my general strategy. So I mean, I'm happy to open a card in my colors.
Open the literal best card in the set to start pod 1 on day 2 of the Pro Tour. That's about as good as
so things to note here. So obviously like this means that I'm like my pick is like locked in already, so I have plenty of time to like consider the rest of the pack here. And so what I know is that like the best cards I'm passing here is Smite the Deathless and Frodo. That's worth noting, right? Like these are cards I expected to be picked up. There's also 2 other really good black cards in the Uruk-hai Berserker and the Sam's Desperate Rescue. So like it's not like there's still gonna be like more black drafters like down the line. That's okay. We actually end up being, I believe, 5 black drafters in a row. So
that's unreal.
Just a classic.
That's crazy.
There's
the
cards
Frodo
like,
Baggins is really. Sorry, go on.
Yeah. No, what do you want to ask about Frodo?
Oh, I was just going to say, the Frodo Baggins is really interesting in that it's an incredibly powerful card in not a very popular color pair archetype. Would I be right on that?
Yes. I think Frodo Baggins is one of like the top 10 uncommons in the set, because I don't think green-white is bad. I think it's very playable.
Oh, sure.
It is reliant on uncommons, yes. But so this is why, like, Frodo, like, similarly to Gandalf Sanctions is to blue-red, Frodo is to green-white.
Sure. Yeah.
And there's like so many combos with him. Like, if you can buff his power on turn 3, he's just like so strong with like the Rosie who puts a counter on him, or the East Fighting Farmer, and you just get to eat a 2-drop. It's so strong, and then it just keeps the legend chain going. So yeah, it's like something that like is worth keeping in mind, but it's not a guarantee that the people I'm passing to are actually comfortable drafting green-white. I watched Kai go over his draft, and because he did a video with Andrew Cuneo where he analyzed this draft, and he said that like he had only done like 15 drafts beforehand, so he wasn't actually comfortable with drafting the green-white decks, and that's why he ends up passing it up. But it's still, I mean, it's still like there's always someone that will like pick it up and take it home here. It ends up being like Kazune Kosaka here, who is like literally opposite table on the table from me. But yeah, I just want to notice that like that's a good card. Things that I like, the Prince Imrahil is something that I'm noting, because similarly to the Mary in the last draft here, it's something that could potentially table. So I'm just going to like leave myself with the like out that maybe I'm drafting the Prince Imrahil. Maybe I'm picking up like a Great Hall. Maybe I'm, you know, if black is like closed, I'm swinging a little bit towards blue or white, because if the Prince does table, I think it's actually totally fine to be a blue-white deck, because it's very good in that style. So yeah, that's just worth noting that it's there. And like maybe I see an Errand Rider of Gondor in a pack, which is like a pretty bad black card. I might take the Errand Rider because of the Prince that could come back.
Yeah, great. Okay, beautiful. We'll take our best card in the set and move on. All right. Pack 1, pick 2. We abandon the Orcish Bowmasters because we are playing creatureless control.
No. So I do like Fire Inscription, and it is a high pick. And I'm surprised it ended up going so late. It ended up really late, I think. I don't know. Yeah, I think maybe Jake Beasley ended up with it like 6 picks ahead. Like, it's just like absurd. He at least ended up like as the blue-red draft at the table. And I don't think anyone like picked it up and ended up with it to sideboard. I'm not sure. But anyway, it's a strong card. It's definitely like something I was considering here. But there is like an Elven Chorus, which is an absolute bomb. This might not be obvious, but this is why I'm really glad that we had the rare meeting. Yeah, so we had like the rare meeting. Tristan, especially, I'm gonna mention his name a lot because he was the green expert in our team. He like says that the Elven Chorus is just like, it's so easy to make it just incredibly broken. What you want with it is like cheap creatures, like just in general a high creature count, and you want to scry. So like blue-green scry is a good archetype for it, but also just like in black-green or whatever, like it's totally fine there. Like the Bowmaster fits with it perfectly, because you make multiple bodies, right? So you have like more things to tap for mana, and it's Bowmaster is some sort of interaction that is also a creature. And then you really want like, you know, there's still like cards in black that scry that are cheap, such as the Haunt of the Dead Marshes. Now I'm gonna mention Haunt a lot this draft here, because I mentioned Tristan as the like, you know, mad scientist on our team. He spent a good amount of time trying to convince us that Haunt of the Dead Marshes is the second best black common. He did not succeed.
Wow. Yeah. That's awesome. I like this guy.
Because the argument is just like that it just makes everything like come together. It's like a super important glue card for every black deck.
Sure.
That's like, you know, Sacrifice Outlet and like Ring Bearer, and it's like something that's good to loot away, and it scries if you're in green-black. You can care about that on blue-black. So it actually like has a lot of like weird synergies, and it's perfect with Elven Chorus because it's a 1-drop that scries, so it works well with that. And yeah, it's just worth noting. I'm obviously not going to take it here over the Chorus. But yeah, getting past the Chorus here is really nice. Also, I'm pretty sure that this is Greg Orange passing it to me. there's a very real chance that he hadn't read the card when he passed it to me, because I played it against him and then he picked it up. So and then I won with it. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
That's
he
great.
took,
Does,
by the way, he took the bitter revelation, bitter downfall, or
Bitter
in his pack.
downfall,
Yeah,
yeah.
so he actually took a black card here.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Yeah, so I expected him
does
to
Greg
take a strong
tend to
uncommon, right? Because there's like 2 other strong uncommons in the pack, and there's just uncommon missing, right? So there's like, it's kind of
Yes.
limited how many uncommons it could be. Usually red or black is the card that's taken here. So that's just something in the back of my mind.
Yeah.
That I
Does Greg tend to draft control decks exclusively in
No.
limited as well, or is that just his constructed thing?
That's just a constructed thing.
Okay.
Usually, like also with people like with Shota and with Guillermo Fatapa, who are like other control masters, like they will just draft like regular good mid-range card adventures things. Like it's limited is just different.
Yeah. Okay.
And I tend to draft way
Sure.
more control in limited than I play control in constructed. So usually doesn't carry over.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah. Great. Okay. Cool. This is a cool one. I'm very excited.
Yeah,
to see
yeah.
where
It
this
also
goes.
is
So
such a
Orcish
build around,
Bowmasters-
right? So it's gonna like
Yeah.
change everything about like card evaluation for the rest of the draft. So
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
gonna try and see if I can play the chorus. Like the fact that like Greg didn't pick it makes me think that he doesn't like green. So
Yep.
it should probably be open for me. But you know, you also don't want to like dive headfirst into green without like being sure that it's open. So I'm gonna
Yeah.
keep my wits about me. I also have a Bowmaster, which is really good. We've been actually green black. I could still splash the Bowmaster, probably, because it's green. So
Yep.
we'll see what happens here.
Great.
So,
All right. Now this is the one I really want your thoughts on this. Talk me through the cards we're looking at here.
So we I'm not even sure I picked the right thing here. We have the Shire, which is I think a pretty strong card. It's the best one I think of these lands, because it's the only thing that like repeatedly makes food for the decks that care about that. It continuously feeds the Watchdog or feeds the Peregrine Took, for instance. So like it works very well with those cards. It's it also like just doesn't take up a spell slot, so it's just nice to have something else. Like you like have a pick here that like I can just get to play more of my cards, and it's another green rare that's like pretty strong, gets past to me, like it just makes the signal slightly stronger. There is also Gothmog though, which is like you know one of the better uncommons. It's not like the best. It's like definitely not in the top 10 uncommons. But it is probably better than Claim the Pressures. It's like about in that range.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, and it like works well with the Bowmaster. So like it has like you know, some good nice synergy. It's a good card, but
yeah,
I think I'm just like leaning more towards the signal here with the green and doing black as like you know maybe I'm black, maybe I'm not. I think I want to value the green more because there's like a higher chance that it's open, and I think like in terms of power level, Elven Chorus and Bowmaster are pretty close. I think if you get Elven Chorus early and can draft around it, I think it's very good.
Okay.
So take a Shire here, but I think maybe I'm wrong actually. I don't know. Like there's like it can't be like that good. It ended up being totally fine in my deck.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like my feeling on these lands is that A, I expect to get them on the wheel. B, most limited games these days, you so rarely have the time to activate abilities activate abilities like this, right? Your mana is so precious. Like every bit of mana that you spend has to be so impactful.
So something that it really works with is if you have the Elven Chorus, which means that you have more mana than normal, and you don't really want to trade off your creatures. So gaining 3 life a turn is actually quite nice for like keeping yourself alive.
Sure.
That's exactly how I beat like Greg in like one of our very first games. Is that I had like a Peregrine Took and like 9 food tokens in play. Because I just like I could just every turn I could just like chump one of his things and gain 3 life or like gain 6 life. And because I had a Peregrine Took, right? So every time I activated this, I would like gain 2 food tokens. And he would just like never like deal me damage, and I just had the chorus in play. So like eventually I would like overpower him.
That's sick. Okay, that's very cool.
Yeah, so I want to mention like I think it is pretty strong. Like you will like you can build your deck around these things, right? Like, you will make sure that you at least have time in some some of your spots, and it also like doesn't cost that much to like create.
That's
food
the
tokens
big
there.
selling point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just 2 mana
That's
plus the I guess 3 mana, right, with the Shire, and then like the food
Oh,
tokens.
I mean,
are
I
used
was-
for a lot, and the food tokens also buy your time to use it more, kinda.
I mean, I was thinking about that in terms of it doesn't cost you anything in terms of a deck slot.
Yes, that is huge too. Yeah. The fact that it just replaces a land. So
Yeah.
definitely happy with the Shire.
Very interesting. Okay, I totally would have glazed over this and just gone straight for the Gothmog. So
Yeah, you might
Yeah,
you might have
bring
been
up the
correct.
synergies
I
there
will
is-
add that. It's also honestly, I will add the haunt here is like also a consideration
sure.
because of how good it is with the Elven Chorus.
Sure.
So-
yeah.
Yeah, I think it's probably not better than Gothmog, and I'm not locked into being green.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I just like want to lean towards the green signal here. But yeah, I'm not actually sure.
Yep.
Maybe I'm wrong about this. I think in my mind, I'm like, okay, well maybe I'm playing Bowmasters. I might just not even be black, but I know I'm green. That's my thought process.
Yeah. No, I really like this because I feel like in a lot of limited discourse we tend to focus on, you know, what's the pick? What's the right thing to take here? And there's not enough nuance on the other things that are in the pack and why they may or may not be better than they are under ordinary circumstances. So, you know, I'm used to just not paying attention to a card like this, but you're right. The synergies with the Elven Chorus really stack up
Mhm.
on a card like this.
Yeah, and the synergy with Watchdog,
so-
which is in the pack and could easily table.
Yep. Yep.
So I'm
100%.
looking for
So-
that as well. I'm also looking for the Revive the Shire. That's another card we identified as being strong in green decks.
Yes. Yeah, I like this one as well.
It's also yeah, I want to mention as well, like now that I'm like looking towards the green path, I'm like really like channeling my inner Tristan and thinking about like all the things he's
Mhm.
at. He has the spider as like one of the best commons in green.
Oh wow. Wow.
Because
I get that.
yeah,
Blocks all
because
the
like,
ring bearers.
it's just like a way for like you to cheaply it's like a huge tempo play, right? You can just cheaply like trade with what your opponent's doing, so you have time to do all your land search shenanigans. And then it works incredibly well with the Revive the Shire. And it also works incredibly well with the Elven Chorus, because it's a creature that's a removal spell that is cheap. It's just perfect. So
That's great.
like
Yeah.
when you have Elven Chorus, I'm gonna pick the spider like extremely highly. I'm gonna pick it probably over the Woes Pathfinder, which is the other good green card.
Yeah, great. Okay, that's awesome. No, I really like that. Okay.
And I also think it's
Next
like I
up.
really want to get it. Like I'm probably in trouble if I don't get it. So like if I don't get any spiders. So it's really important. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. All right, this is another interesting pick. Talk us through this one.
Yeah. So we have Dawn of a New Age, which honestly, when as mentioned that we had our rare meeting where we went over all the rares, I was check-in to our hotel took like a little while, so I ended up missing the white part of our rare meeting. I didn't get to hear what people thought about this one. They did post a note,
nice one.
but yeah, I didn't actually like. Yeah, I don't remember like how we were ranking this. I had a slight inkling that we were ranking it higher than the like unplayable rating it originally had from like some like podcasts talking about the card.
Yeah.
And I was also thinking that it's actually kind of interesting with the chorus because it wants to do the same thing, which is to play a bunch of cheap creatures. So in that regard,
yeah.
the fact that I'm green and can splash, it actually seems kind of interesting to me in what the deck might be working towards. Something I'm really feeling really awkward about is that I passed that Frodo because I don't really want it being green-white, but it can also be splashed. Like, so it's kind of hard to like determine exactly what the green is. I don't think I'm like putting enough emphasis on what its contestants is here, because there is the Quick Beam, which is like one of the better green cards, but for probably a different deck than what I'm going for here, because I want to go for likely like a multicolor, maybe Scry-based green deck, where I have like small creatures. I don't really want stuff like the Enraged Horn and Bag-in Porters in my deck. That's something that Tristan also mentioned, that like in the green decks he draft, he doesn't actually want these cards. Like he can play them as like extra playables, but the like big dumb green buddies are just not what he's interested in. He's interested in like the fixing and the cheap plays. And this makes Quick Beam a lot worse. But I think Quick Beam is incredible in decks like Red Green that is about the big buddies. And it's probably like the only archetype that can really support that. Or like in some green-white decks too. Like you can also have like some big butt beatdown. And And yeah, so I think actually I would take Haunt over Quick Beam in this spot here. Again, shelling my inner Tristan, like it's just really important that I get some of them. If I pass these up now, like they're not gonna table probably. It's a strong pot. People know it's good, and it's just really important for you to have 1-drops. And the fact that it it Scry's working well with the Elven Chorus, but also like Elven Chorus really wants you to have other cards that Scry, which means that the other green cards you want to pick up are like the Scry payoffs. And so I should have realized that, because Tristan actually drafted this deck in house, which was like green-black Scry essentially. And I didn't quite put together this thing you can do. When I played against Li Chan on day 1, he had like a black-green like all commons deck where he made great use of the Chance-Met elves, combining with the Haunt.
Yes.
Like that is actually like some synergy there. And so I think I should have
I've done that as well,
identified that the Haunt is important, not just for being a 1-drop, but also because it's actually like a Scry enabler, enabling not just the chorus, but the other green cards I want to play that I kind of go in the synergy package, such as Chance-Met elves and such. So yeah, that's the thing I didn't quite identify, and that I didn't have, like, because in my mind I was like half abandoning the Bowmaster, or at least I wanted to like, I'm starting to like sense that black is closed, and I'm like, that's fine. I can pick the Dawn, I can pick green-white, maybe I splash the Bowmasters, maybe I don't. But I think there's also a lot of value in just like sticking to your black here, and I'm a bit wavering in this draft here. I think this was a wrong pick. I think it would have been better for me to take the Haunt, take a better like stake on black. I pass a pack with no black cards. That's definitely a signal. So yeah.
No, I like that evaluation. But I also like that you knew you were coming on Draft Punks, and so you started with Orcish Bowmasters, and then thought best card in the set. No. Let's do an Elven Chorus Dawn of New Age brew. This is at day 2 of the Pro Tour at 8-0.
Yeah, like sometimes you're a chef, sometimes you're a cook. That's
exactly the vibe that we love over here.
Yeah. Also, I just want to note, right? Like this is, I'm 8-0. This is my my first draft here, and I picked 4 rares as my first 4 picks.
Yeah. So good. Love it.
Okay, can we pick another rare? Pick 5.
No more rares left. Okay, what do we got here? Anything interesting?
Yeah, there's one thing interesting here. It's a Woes Pathfinder, best green common.
Yeah.
Just go in my pile.
We forgive this one for having 1 toughness.
Yeah, that too, yeah. And like the rest of the pack is like wide medium, so I'm pretty happy to just like take this up to green signal. I'm pretty like fine with locking in green here, especially once we get to the next pick.
Yep.
Where there's an Ents Fury, and so I'm very happy to pick that up. In green-white, like I think Hobbit's thing is sometimes better than Ents Fury, but I don't know that I'm green-white yet, so
yeah,
I'll just pick up the Fury. I'm gonna have a really high creature count anyway, so that the Fury is like enabled well enough. Though I'm as I said, gonna prioritize smaller creatures, so that makes it worse. As also the Gimli, I just like had to read it, had to think about it. Maybe I'm like a Junt deck that where like a green-black base slash other things, so you can have sacrifice outlets with it. I don't know, but I ended up passing it.
Yeah, I keep looking at this card and like legendary character that we all know so well, rare, multicolor, got to be great, and then the words on the card do not. I think
it's so especially nice in a defensive deck.
Which is like, weird for a red green
they like
card.
making you make a ball stall, they make an all-out attack, you make like 3 blocks, some of them are jump blocks, doesn't matter. Gimli grows and fights something and like survives because he's indestructible. That's pretty strong.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Now we do also need to talk about this card, because I have some insight into this card that I suspect 6-0 Simon may not have considered.
Oh no, is it a pun?
Why would you think that? This card, you want to have one of these in your deck.
Yeah.
Because if you can make it your ring bearer,
yeah,
then you have... What is this? Then you don't even need to carry your ring anywhere. You can just yeet it all the way into Mordor.
Oh, if you have the Mount Doom, you can sacrifice the legendary Trebuchet now. That's exactly what you mean, right?
Yeah,
it's all strategy.
That's exactly what I mean. Very good. All right, next pack.
Okay.
Cool.
I have done it with the Scarecrow, making it legendary and sacrificing to Mount Doom. It's a thing.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, no. And
That's
then like
nice.
that was even a splashed Mount Doom. I splashed it off the Scarecrow in the blue-black deck.
That's hilarious. We need
Small
to
things.
get you on for a draft sometime.
You know, like small things. Okay. Anyway, pick 7 here.
Yeah.
Yeah, the things are definitely like starting to dry up here. I think the best cards in this pack are like Strider, Arven's Gift, and Escape from the Orthanc. And I will note that like I don't mind red green. I've mentioned it like a few times. You can definitely draft this if you have Woe's Pathfinder. That's the most important card. Ramming into like just big bump dummies. It's really cool. The issue is I've hacked past the quick beam, so it's not as good here. But you also have to remember that the Elven Covers does make your creatures tap for any color of mana, so it's another splash source. And so I was thinking, yeah, maybe I can pick up the Strider here, and I can like maybe I'm just gonna end up like splashing it or being like a weird multicolor deck, or maybe I'm a red-green chorus deck, which is not the best home for it because again, red-green just want like big dumb bodies, and chorus want like small smart bodies. So yeah.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. So with a card like Arven's Gift, like I love this card because it's so good in the Fiery Inscription, Gandalf Sanction type decks. Do you really consider this in a creature-based mid-range sort of deck?
Yeah, I mean it's kind of a combo with like the Spider, because Spider is a 1-mana piece of interaction, and that goes well with card draw. So like you can draft blue-green like that. That's totally fine. But it doesn't go well with Elven Chorus.
No, not at all. Yeah.
Because I want my creature count to be high. So that's not really what I'm interested in. I think here,
maybe that makes sense. Yeah.
I should have taken the chance with elves. Again, identifying the whole spiel about like you actually want to be green-black scry. And it's like one of the comments that gets a lot better at the Pro Tour because it's really bad, but good enough to be playable. And so it's the whole like, you know, can you make things work out of scraps? And this is one of those that like is one of the better pieces of scrap.
Yeah, I was going to mention that I'd done that before. I was Sultai, so I had the uncommon Arwen, and I think I might have even had the rare Elrond as well. Like if you can get those scry matter payoffs and combine it with
scry is a very real deck.
Outlet.
You just get it so rarely because it needs like a rare and an uncommon to work. But it's which is awkward.
Yeah. So we took the Strider here.
I took the Strider here. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
Maybe I regret it, but I actually ended up like playing it at least. So
no, I think
well, not in my main deck, but like as a sideboard option.
Yeah, no, I like that a lot. All right, not a whole lot that's looking great here. Do we just stick green and take this card?
No, the guide I think is too bad. I'm considering the Gimli and the Nasty End here. And like I will say the guide is something that I could be interested in, but it's like I just don't want to pick it up like now. I can just get them later, and there's a limit to how many
I'm with you. Yeah.
But because of the Elven Chorus, it actually gets better. Not much, but a little bit. So it's between Nasty End and Gimli here. So I'm starting to think like maybe I'm messing up by like not staking my claim on black well enough here. I passed the Haunts, kind of regretting it. Maybe I should like, you know, not give like that much food to the black drafters next to me and actually like pick up the Nasty End here and like enable myself to be in this. I could also pick up the Gimli, goes like pseudo well with the Strider last pick, and like that leads me into like the red green shell. But as I said, like the red green shell is just not that good for like the Elven Chorus. But I can see like, you know, there was also the earlier Gimli, the red green Gimli. Like there's actually like kind of a, you know, a little red green like pool waiting here to be like mopped up. That maybe could have been like also with the fifth pick Woe's Pathfinder, like that's also kind of a signal. But yeah, anyway, I end up going with the Nasty End here, just like determining also that like if I just like keep myself open too much, I might also lose the opportunity to play Bowmaster, which is one of the best cards.
Yes, exactly.
So I'm kind of like trying to rein myself in here.
This goes so well with the kind of strategy that you want to be doing anyway, right? You want lots of cheap, kind of semi-disposable creatures, right? Which is where this works best.
Yeah, and it would have been an even better pick if I picked the Haunt up earlier, but I haven't yet. It's also looking like, by the way, I'm not like noticing that much white at the moment. I picked up the Dawn, but I haven't really seen much else white, so I'm not really like super chuffed about being like the green-white deck.
Yeah, no, that makes good sense. So yeah, we took the. Did you go with the Nasty End here?
I did take the Nasty End.
Yeah, I like that pick as well. I think that's.
You could also take the Patrol. Actually, it's not something I considered. Probably a card I don't take highly enough, but it kind of does the same thing as Nasty End. working with like the small puny creatures, but then is a creature itself. So
Yeah.
that's why it could be better.
I just hate the clunky
He's
5
a
drops
clunker.
in this format.
I'll probably-
right? Like they
I'll
just
probably get it.
the interaction in this format is so efficient that you just drop this and it gets Soothing of Smeagol or Claim the Precious or whatever, and you just feel terrible.
Yeah, I'm happy to give this to Kai, who ended up playing 5 drops. So yeah.
Yeah. No, we'll
Yeah,
take,
because
we'll take
yeah,
it
for a little
last
bit of
year to be
perspective
happy
here,
about
what's going on like
Yes.
at like the other like not side of the table, but like a little bit next to me, is that Kai opened Saruman, the black Saruman, and then got past the green black Golem. So me and Kai are pretty close to each other, and we both opened the black rare and got past the green rare. And that is really unfortunate for the person who is like 2 Cs.
Yeah.
2 Cs behind the first person. So
That's it.
yeah, so
And so Kai was the featured drafter, and so we're all watching that one, hoping he's going to pull together this great deck. And
there's
little do we
another
know that
green black
Simon's just-
drafter, like
Yeah.
really close to, which like pretty rarely happens. The other 2 drafters here, Martin Dominguez between us is going red black. He's not like fully cemented in red yet. I think he's just taking up some black cards. And then Greg Orange was also in red black actually. So we had this like red black, green black, red black, green black, like
That's unreal.
one side of the table. Yeah, and then Christian Calcano was like a blue black drafter. So there's the 5 black drafters at the table right next to each other.
That's crazy. Wow. Okay, cool. Next pick. All right. So do you want to yeet the ring into Mordor now?
No. I want to be able to splash better because I'm like not really sure what I'm doing, but I could pick up the Scarecrow. And Scarecrow kind of like works okay with the chorus as well, so I'm okay with that.
Interesting. So you actually like the Scarecrow more than the Lothlorien Lookout?
Well, I don't think I should have, but I did. I think right now I think I'm actually liking the Scarecrow more. Like it's totally fine as a way to splash things, and it's also like it's just as good of a blocker as the Lookout, or like almost at least. And it's mainly just like I think like the ability to splash is really nice, and you don't really want to attack that much when you have the Elven Chorus anyway. So it's mostly like
we do value that scry really highly.
I do value it, but I think at this point in the draft, I don't value it. I haven't quite pieced together that this is what I'm supposed to do. I think maybe I should pick the Chantmet Elves over the Lookout, but I'm not sure. Maybe that's like because if I like really remembered everything, I would know there's another Lookout coming next pack.
Yeah.
There's a limit to how many of those you want, but I kind of like want to combine these. Oh,
sorry. Let me zoom in a bit so we have fewer spoilers.
makes sense.
I mean, the other factor is like you can get one of these 14th pick at some point, right?
Yeah, maybe, but then like it's not like 14th is not guaranteed, right? And you can get them like
you know what I mean, though. Like you just don't need to prioritize it.
I think I actually really want them in a deck that wants them, and
Okay.
a lot of time like picking it up now means that I don't like I can pick the other scrappy card that could be better in like because especially when you're drafting green, like you. Like the cards, you get all the cards for free, but when everything is free, then like inflation starts happening, or like like it's because like you will still have a bunch of packs like in the late part where you're deciding between 2 cards that could potentially make your deck, and so you actually still have like even though like you get all these like good cards that come around the table, there'll sometimes be multiple of them in the same pack, so you still have to like value which one you want the most. And I think here. The thing I'm gonna miss the most if I don't have it and need it is the Scarecrow. So I'm gonna prioritize that.
Okay.
And then next time, if I get the Scarecrow versus something else, I can take the Chantmet Elves then, or whatever it might be. The Revive the Shire, like all these other like bad green cards that are pretty fine.
Okay. All right. That's great. That sounds like that's one that I just need to value a little bit higher.
Yeah, I mean, it might also
in
like
this
I don't know, like we're team Mana Worker, like we really like these types of cards. So
Sure. Yeah. Okay.
I haven't seen
love
anyone
that.
else really like them. So yeah, it might just be us.
Okay.
We're wrong.
Okay. Sure. Okay. Up next is basically the same pack.
Yes, this is exactly what I mean.
So
But yeah, now I don't want to take the Scarecrow. I think I value Revive the Shire more than Lothlorien Lookout. Just because I want one in every one of my green decks. It's probably also wrong. Maybe I should take the Lookout here. Yeah, it's definitely like I'm definitely like in like deep waters here because I'm drafting a deck I haven't tried before. I have not had the Elven Chorus
Sure.
before. I've only seen Tristan drafted once. So I'm trying to go by this. But one thing that Tristan has been reiterating is Revive the Shire is good. You don't mind having, I know there's another one coming, but you don't mind having multiples in your pool because you can just sideboard up to 2. Like, it's fine. Like, just play one main and the second one can be good post-board. So,
so maybe I'm just too much in the like the Grixis Turbo Tempt sort of mindset, but I see 2 mana 1/3 and like my radar just goes off. I'm like, oh my god,
normally we don't like Lothrian Lookout in our green decks.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, it's it's just not really what you're interested in. Like you can like play some just like early defense, but you rather have like Wolf's Pathfinder or like even the Scarecrow if you're like a multicolor deck. And like you don't really care about any of the scry synergies in these, like, and you have like the spider is like another cheap thing, and then a lot of like the rest of the time what you're gonna use your like early sense for is like fixing your mana, and then you can play like your like good cards of other colors. Like it just doesn't actually end up like filling out the deck very often. And in terms of like ring bearers, like you can find something else. It's not that important.
And also that ring tempting is less of a like central game plan in the green based decks than it is in the Grixis decks. Yeah. Okay. Great. All right, let's round out this pack. So we grab another Revive the Shire and be happy about it.
Yep, definitely. Then I see a Banish from Edoras here, pick 12, which is kind of nice. Like I was thinking about splashing white, and I'm definitely happy about that. I don't like Bombadil's Song very much, so.
No, 2 mana. It's
I might be underrating it. I've seen like good players play with it, like more than I would have liked. So I might be wrong about that, but. Banish is like a totally fine like splashable removal spell, or maybe I'm still green-white. At this point I have like 2 white cards and 2 black cards. One rare in each, but obviously the Bowmaster is better. Now, as I'm looking through my pack here at the end, we can like scroll through like pick 13. Take the guide. Descrier doesn't really count, and that's it. So I'm scrolling through my picks here. And I mean, I know I'm green. I have a lot of good green stuff, and then I don't really know what I'm pairing it with yet. I also have the Strider, which like could pull into red. Maybe I'm a multicolor thing, but I don't have any Mani-Pottings. It's I do have the Scarecrow and the Wolf's Pathfinder and the Elven Cars, so like I do have like splash capabilities of those. So I'm just really unsure where I'm at, and I feel like I want to keep myself open, but I think also I'm realizing, and I realize as I open this next pack here, which is
whoa, what happened here?
So like it happens sometimes where like a common just like gets like it just turns up a lot in a single draft, and then like because of the like variance distribution, like sometimes they're all in one pack, but like it's not unrealistic that there would be 14 target Dune Shapers at one draft pod. And since like it's pretty unlikely that any single pack of Lord of the Rings has a target Dune Shaper, it increases the chance that all of those go in the same pack.
That's right. That's how probability works.
Yes. What actually happened
this
here
is great.
So
we were putting this draft together based on what we saw on coverage of Kai's draft and from contributions from the very generous Martin Dominguez. But that meant that pack 2, pick 1, and pick 2 were just invisible to us, and so we're gonna have to just rely on Simon's memory here. So we know that you took a Gothmog. Do you remember if there were any other considerations in here?
I at least remember that there was a Gloin, the 3/3 dwarf that makes treasures, as a consideration here as the rare, and there were probably some other things. But it was this made it like quite interesting to me, because like Gloin is like maybe better than Gothmog, probably not. I'm not sure. But then like I have the Strider. I have like maybe I'm like this Legends deck, and I was really like feeling like a little bit of the pressure here and the like not really knowing my direction. And what I ended up deciding on was, okay, maybe I should just, instead of like pick after pick being worried about my direction, maybe I should just like pick a direction and be like, I'm gonna play 5 black cards and all green cards, and just take the Gothmog here. Realizing that this way I at least get to play my Bowmasters, and that has so much value.
Because I noticed we were talking earlier about having a color preference, and you mentioned that you tend to stay just kind of agnostic-ish and just take the good cards as you see them. But I've noticed in this draft you seemed and correct me if I'm wrong on this interpretation, but you seemed kind of very quick to want to get away from black because of the feeling that it would be heavily drafted, but you were quite keen to move towards green and red.
Yeah, or white and red at least, right? Like,
Sure.
yeah, I mean, because I was locked on green pretty early.
Yeah.
And that's definitely true. Because I also I think it was very clear from pack 1 that like there was a black drafter passing to me. But at some point, you also have to like the thing about black is that like it's so deep that you can just, if you have a color that you know is really open, you can just pair that with black always, and you just have like some really strong cards. And I think it's important to like not close out on that window. And I think I just messed it up a little bit because I probably should have recognized this like already in pack 1. Like, okay, green is clearly very open. This means I can just be green black, and I don't really have to like take all these like wishy-washy speculative picks and pass this haunt of the dead marshes and pass these like Chantman elves, which actually work well with the haunt. It's not something I realized. I can just build this like cohesive deck. So I'm really happy with this pick at this moment here. Because I could very easily see myself like just like staying in this like, oh, I gotta be open mindset. But I'm quite worried about like going into green white because I know I passed the Frodo. And I don't know like if like Martin or Kai like are interested in green white, but if they are, like I could just waste a pick by taking a white card here because I think there was like a white option. At least there was like 14 Tarkir Dune Shapers to consider.
Yeah, I mean, good thing there wasn't actually a Tarkir Dune Shaper in here because there's no way you would have turned down this sort of card advantage.
Oh my god.
All right. Next.
Yeah, so again, we don't see the full pack here. It's clearly like a pretty weak pack, right? Since this was my pick.
Yeah.
Sterling Vanguard. But I think this was
remember,
another one where it's like,
else?
I think there was probably like some red options, some white options, some like okay green option, but not a 2-drop. And I just said, okay, you know what? Like, this works well with the chorus because you can trade it off and then you still have a creature. And I'm just gonna take it here. And just be like, I'm just gonna be green black. It's gonna be fine. Let's move on.
Okay, that's great. All right, let's take a look at some real packs. Okay, that'll be the last of the Tarkir Dune Shapers, unless I've snuck a sneaky prank in here. Let's have a look at some real packs. So let me zoom out a touch. All right, what do we got? What do we got here? That's too far. What have we got here that's worth talking about?
Yeah, so very clearly there's a Claim the Precious coming to me third pick. Despite passing some of the black cards, so I was like, oh, okay, maybe black is actually open from this direction. But actually it happened. There were 2 black drafters passing to me, but they took Orcus Bowmasters and Eomer of the Rillimark. So that was just really good cards in the pack. But because Kai ended up also like Kai ended up also green black with Bowmasters, which is very funny.
Crazy.
But I'm very happy to take this Claim the Precious here. I mean, removal spells is like something I'm hungering for. I don't need too many of them because I want to have high creature count. Again, I'd much rather have a spider. I haven't seen any spiders pack 1. I would have picked spider over the last 2 cards if I'd seen it. Because that is how high they rank it. So hopefully we're gonna get there. There's also this Rise of the Witch King, which is
Yeah, talk to me about this.
It's not that good. It can be fine. It's good with land cyclers.
Simon.
Yeah, but I don't know. Like you need, like the issue is that you need like to also be a deck with expendables, and I guess in green black you can be that. And then like you need your opponent to not have expendables, and like once it all comes together, like I guess you get a turn 4 like Generous End, and
you get to play Living End in your draft deck as well.
Yeah, it's Living End. Yeah, it's just like
that's it. Nice.
Yeah, it's just like I'm gonna be very happy if this wheels. I'm gonna take it. Don't get me wrong, but I don't want to prioritize this card. It just if it falls in my lap, I will pick it up and put it in my draft pile.
Sure, which ends up happening to Kai.
Because he's the green black drafter, right? So like this pack is not going to be that good for me because he mops up all the green black stuff.
Yeah. Now this is interesting. This was one of the big lessons that I took away from March of the Machine in particular, but it applies here with black as well. That black is so strong here, and in March of the Machine, it was that there were so many powerful cards in every pack that you can get to a third pick like this, and it looks like black is open when it's actually just that there were more powerful.
Yeah, and I don't take this claim necessarily as a signal. That's like what part of me is hoping. It's like, oh my god, this pack is gonna be super juicy. But at least I can take it as like, okay, I have now 5 black cards in my pool.
Yeah,
that are pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm probably gonna like get some in like the first parts of next pack, even if it's closed, and it's gonna be fine. Mostly I'm just
Yeah.
happy to have a strong card in my deck.
Yep. No, that's great. Love it. Great. Next. All right, what do we got here?
Well, first I'm looking at the farmer, because I always look at the farmer. There's a Scroll of Isildur, and I'm honestly like slightly considering it, because again, like, you know, I'm kind of like splishy splashy potentially, but I don't have that much
Ooh.
fixing except for like vulnerable creature style fixing or the Elven Chorus, which like Scroll is a non-creature, doesn't really work with it. And then there's the Peregrine Took, and remember that I took the Shire earlier.
Oh yeah.
And so that works really well with Peregrine, and Peregrine
It
is in general
does.
like just a pretty fine card in your green decks. So I'm gonna be happy to pick that up here, and
Yep.
It also like works well with like I have like 3 cards that are mass, which also will make a food.
Yep.
So at least like if you don't
Yeah,
have an
no.
army yet already.
Yeah. Oh no, that's great.
Yeah, I'm happy to pick this one up.
What's the juiciest artifact you've stolen with Scroll of Isildur?
I did watch in a team in an in-house draft where Jonas Eloranta stole the One Ring from David Inglis. That was
Oh!
that was juicy. And then he promptly died to the One Ring.
That's incredibly flavorful.
Yes.
That's exactly what happened to Isildur. That's awesome. Oh, I love that. I was going to tell the story of when I stole Palantir of Orthanc, but that's way better. That's sick. Oh,
I just love stealing a
That's
food
so-
token and just cracking it and be like, haha, you don't get it.
Oh
back.
yeah, 100%. Oh, steal the One Ring and then lose to it. That's amazing. That's so good. Love it. All right, next.
Okay, so here we have like another 2-drop here, Easterling Vanguard. I have the green clunkers that I wasn't super happy with. Bag and Porter and Horn. And then there's the Generous Ent, which is also a green clunker, but of a different kind.
Did you say degenerate ent?
That is not what I said, but I don't know, put that on record maybe. So
Enton Degenerous?
get me out of here. Anyone watching? Call
You can't call the police on me. You don't know our police number. All right, next.
It's probably like 111, so you can remember it. So Generous Ant
Wow.
is like, yeah, that's in all Australia.
It's
So-
it's 000. I'll have you know.
Oh no. Okay, so Generous Ant. I'm gonna
Sorry,
keep
hang on.
talking
You've
about like
broken-
building
you've
around
broken
Elven
me.
cards.
Ugh. Okay. Continue.
So Generous Ant is like I'm gonna keep talking about like building around Elven cards, but I really want high creature count. So I want to replace lands with creatures, and Generous Ant does that. It also, if I, play things off the top, there's a land on top that I've already played, that I can't play. I can Generous Ant, shuffle my deck, maybe hit another creature. So it works well in like multiple ways with the cards.
Yeah.
And I'm very happy
Yeah.
to have one in my deck. I also, at this point, I have the Woes Pathfinder, likely to potentially the Scarecrow, Bowmaster, and another Vanguard. Like, I'm actually kind of fine on 2-drops, so I don't think I need to take the second Vanguard here.
Yeah, that makes total sense. So can you just talk to me a little bit about the land cyclers? Do you, once you've already picked up one, how does your evaluation of future copies change? And then same question again once you've got 2, 3, 4.
I think I want 2. Like,
Okay,
so the
okay.
first one is only like halfway there. And I'm happy to play 2 land cyclers and 15 lands.
Great, yeah.
And I would, like, the third one gets slightly worse, I guess, because at that point it's no longer a priority.
Yeah.
But they're still good. So, I mean, you could pick 5
Yeah.
and be fine, I think.
Okay, yeah, great. All right, this one's interesting. Where does your eye go here?
Yeah, it's kind of a blank. I mean, I like don't mind Glorfindel, but I always like see everyone like leave it in their sideboard, so I guess it's not that good. But at this point, I'm also I think I'm like slightly realizing that like, oh, okay, maybe Mighty want to be the scry things. We didn't see it in the 1 and 2 packs because they were like all target Dune Shapers, but I did notice that there were like more Lothlorien lookouts, and so I'm actually interested in getting some of those in my deck. Like I'm kind of like realizing, and so that works well with Glorfindel potentially. So yeah, I'm just gonna like pick this up. Maybe like I can care about legends in some way. Sure. Like it's just that kind of a blank. I don't really want to take the Wizard's Rockets. I think it's pretty bad fixing. I'm not gonna splash Glorious Gale. So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you started the draft just by money drafting. So do you want to keep taking rares?
There's actually a foil one coming later. But I do. I already have like 2 of my hammer decks, so I think I'm fine.
Nice. Cool. Like almost 100% of the time, you'd prefer the Chance-Made Elves to Glorfindel, right?
Yeah, that makes
Unless
sense.
you're doing the legendary
thing. I wasn't really thinking about that here, but that makes total sense to me. Yeah, that card's just better.
Sure.
Yeah.
My eye goes to one place and one place only.
I think it's a good spot to pick up the Great Hall. It's like we're pretty late in the draft. It's like at this point, it is pretty clear that I'm probably not going to be super splashy, but I do have the Strider and. It could happen, right, that I open up something good. So I think it's fine to take the Great Hall. I also, Sam's Desperate Rescue gets worse in green-black because you already have Revived the Shire. So I'm not hungering for that. I don't care that much about Tempting the Ring in this deck. There's the Shower of Arrows, and there's the Chant-Made Elves, which, again, like, I end up with 0 Chant-Made Elves, and I realized afterwards that, like, that was a punt. Like, the card, because I thought it was just unplayable, but it's just not, like, in what I'm trying to do here.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, cool. No, that makes total sense. That's really interesting. Yeah, the rescue goes down in value because you've got Revive the Shire. Love that.
But I do take the Great Hall. So
yeah. No, that's great. That makes a lot of sense. Whole bunch of.
We have the same thing again. Lookout versus Shire versus Shire Scarecrow.
Yep.
I'm also like looking at the Minds of Moria just a little bit, being like, can this do anything?
Oh yeah.
It cannot. This time I end up taking the Lookout. Like I am full on Shire Scarecrows and full on Revive the Shires, and I'm also realizing that I'm gonna pick up like Scry payoffs, but if I see them. So yeah, we take the Lookout here and are happy.
Yeah, cool. One of my most frustrating losses in this format was to an opponent who top decked the bats. What's called the
the Mirkwood Bats.
You know the one I mean?
Combo with Minds of Moria. Yeah.
Killed me out of nowhere with the Minds of Moria.
I had it happen in round 1 against Greg Orange, where he had the there and back again, and then he played the bats. Then I killed the bats, and then he Sam's Desperate Rescue got the bats back.
Oh, did he do it? Did he?
He did do it. Yes.
That's sick.
Well, I had an answer. Okay, he didn't like do it because I had an answer for the dragon. True, but the issue is that I couldn't like kill both, and so I just died to one of them. Like if I killed the dragon, I died to the bats, and if I killed the bats, I died to the dragon because I can't beat the flyer in the air. So he didn't like actually get it on screen, but the combo was very relevant to that game.
That's great. I love that. Cool. All right, and then getting to the back end of this pack.
Yeah, I'm gonna take a look out here. I hate playing Shire Terrace, so I'm not gonna think about that.
Yeah, cool. I was gonna get your thoughts on that. I know like LSV has said he thinks this is actually unplayable even if you're splashing.
I think it is. Just
right.
Basic.
Interesting.
Yeah. So
interesting.
I'd much rather have.
Do you think that's different in the depending on the speed of your deck? Like if you're more aggressive to more controlling?
Yeah. So if you like don't like 2-drops and you don't have any 2-drops and you just don't care about dying, then I think it's fine.
Oh, great. That's me. Love it.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Next. All right. Nothing in here.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Brandywine Farmer. I flirted with boarding it in, but then I stopped flirting with old ladies because that's just like not appropriate. So.
No, that's not what you should be doing at the Pro Tour. Yeah. No.
So I took the Shower of Arrows here. Really happy to have this as a sideboard option.
Yes.
Yep.
Good. Yep. Cool.
Stalwarts. Took a Mirror of Galadriel.
Yep. Great.
Maybe I just don't have enough legends that I don't think I'm at this point, like looking through my packs, I'm like, okay, I'm probably just gonna be straight green black. But at this point, I'm like, where is my spider? I haven't seen a single Mirkwood spider, and I'm like, losing my mind. Like, how many green drafters on this table? What's going on? Where are they? I need them. So.
Yeah, and if I recall correctly, Kai actually
opened one and then took it, and I watched that replay, and I was like, no! no!
Yeah.
Just wanted it so badly. No, that was like
That's
he's passing
right.
the other way around the table, right? So it would have been like 6 pick before it got to me.
Yes, yeah.
And
So
we had
that
like
wouldn't have
one
been
green
good for
drafter
you.
between us because Katsune Kosaka was ended up in Naya. Like he was the one taking the Frodos and like some of the green red stuff, and ended up being doing that thing. So anyway, it might have like not like never gotten to me. But anyway.
All right, so we're hoping to open a spider. Let's go.
I am content with taking a bit of downfall here. Yeah.
Is this better than the spider?
Is it bitter than the spider?
Yeah.
Because it's bitter downfall.
Yeah.
I think.
And that's how the Kiwis pronounce it, and everyone
Yeah,
always seems to
I
think that
realize
Aussie
that,
accents and
yes.
Kiwi accents sound the same, which they don't.
No, they definitely don't. Yeah. No, I can be within that one. But yeah, I consume a lot of like Australian and Kiwi media, so I'm I'm aware.
Tell me about that. What are you into? What are you into?
Well, I love like Flight of the Conchords and like Ranty. Is he Australian? The doll like does stand up. The puppy.
I couldn't tell you.
Oh, okay. Anyway, Randy Feltface is the name of it.
Randy Feltface. Yes, yeah. Sorry, I'm blanking on his name, but yes, he is Australian and he's very funny.
Yeah. So there's like probably also like some like podcasts and stuff. Like it's like I'm exposed to it, and my friends are like plenty of friends from that region. So anyway,
Love it.
Bit of downfall. Definitely very happy with it. It's very close to spider, honestly. And like I would probably take the downfall, hoping to wield the spider. It's also the downfall works really well with my strategy of having chump blockers and Orcus Bowmaster. So that's like it's actually a 1 mana removal spell a lot of the time.
True. Yeah, that's a great point. Yep.
So yeah,
Cool.
really happy
Okay,
to take
yeah,
this.
so
This is
that's-
also what I mean, by the way. That like you're gonna open like there's gonna be a good black card in like most packs, right?
Yes.
So like even if
Yep.
black is closed, you're still gonna have like at least some.
Yeah, that's a really, really good point. Okay, love it. So grab our bit of downfall, and we are happy about it. Ooh. Hello.
Old Man Willow. So okay, I'm not about flirting with old ladies, but old men, I'll take that.
Oh, let's flirt with all the old men and the trees. We'll
Yeah,
flirt
it's
with
like
the
I was
trees.
really considering the Woes Pathfinder, by the way. Like this is
Oh.
yeah. So because I was just thinking that it's nice to ram into stuff, but I actually haven't played that much with the Old Man Willow, but I was thinking I guess my curve is pretty low. It's probably gonna be very good. I'm gonna have like some sacrifice
Yeah.
stuff. Though don't have any like Haunt of the Death Marchers either. Like I have no 1-drops at this point, so like I really want that like low curve thing. And so maybe the
Yeah.
Woes Pathfinder is better. End up deciding that if I take the Woes Pathfinder, because I can take the Woes Pathfinder and maybe wield the Old Man Willow. But if
I wouldn't think so.
it's unlikely, yeah. But sometimes because like a lot of the green decks can just splash him, right? So and I don't think I'm like the only green draft at the table.
Yeah, yeah. Or you just play it in your blue-red Great Hall deck.
Sure, yeah, that could happen too. So yeah, I take the Wolves Pathfinder here. I know that the Miramia Guardian on my table, at least. Like that's
Oh wow! So you actually take the Pathfinder?
Oh sorry, no, I take the Old Man Willow and
Okay. Whew.
yeah.
All right. We almost had to stop the video. Okay, we're all good. We're all good.
yeah, but I haven't had that much experience with it, so I wasn't sure like quite how busted it was. But
Sure, that's fair.
yeah, but I'm also
I
I'm
know
taking
you-
this. The green draft is gonna take Pathfinder over Guardian, and then I get the Guardian for sure. So
Yeah, sure. I know you value my opinion very highly, and I've played with this a reasonable amount, and it's very, very good.
all right, I do value that. Thank you. now I've also played with it.
Aw, that was so nice. All right, let's move on before you.
I still never gotten to kill anything with it, like even after having it in my deck.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Okay, so
that's-
we have another rare here. The Ring Goes South,
Okay.
which is not playable. I'm
Good.
sorry.
Okay. Yeah. Good. We're not. We're cooking today, but we're not. We're
Well,
not quite
yeah,
done
but
to
I'm not about to like add. I'm not about to add coriander, you know. Like,
this.
and so I do love coriander, by the way, but it's.
See,
so,
I was gonna go with Carolina Reaper. That's some like extreme level spice.
Ooh, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that's definitely too much for me. I'm like, I live in Denmark. Like, if anything's like spicier than salt, I don't want it. So
Yeah, soy milk is the limit. Yeah.
So we got the Troll of Casa Doom versus Shelob's Ambush. And I think both
Yep.
these cards are really good. They're like at a similar-ish power level. Shield's Ambush is just like incredible in the format as like the trick that trumps the other tricks. Because there are some good 1-mana tricks like floating around. And yeah, the Shield's Ambush is like the better of these can also like act as pseudo removal. I'm kind of like set on removal right now. I'm not set on my land cycles though. I only have one. I kind of want two, as I mentioned earlier. So picking up the troll here lets me keep my creature count high. There's another card in this pack that also inches me towards keeping my creature count high, which is the Elven Farsight. Not gonna pick it now. It's gonna come back, but
Sure.
I am interested in Scry Payoff, and even though I haven't taken any Enchantment Elves yet, I wish I had. And I'm interested in a really high creature count, and so the land cycles make it so that your Elven Farsights can like find your lands, which is really important. So
Something that occurs to me, like as we're talking about this, is this kind of scry package that you're talking about? Is this you kind of like with what you were talking about before, with like making the best of bad cards? Is that what you're doing here, or do you think this is actually kind of a good strategy to work towards?
I didn't like that was not our plan going into the tournament. The scry cards would be
Okay.
good. We kind of like agreed to ignore that part of green, but
Yeah.
what I realized here, and like after seeing like DC Chan play with those cards, there's like Alpha Frog has been talking about like how Enchantment Elves is like a reason to draft green because you get them for free. And I was like trying to like piece these things together, like during the draft, that like okay, maybe like we can actually make this thing happen. Usually we agreed that like we only like looked at the green scry cards if we happen to get the Arwen and the Elrond rare. But I can definitely see that like with the Elven covers, like that also like kind of like plays together. And yeah, I should have I think it was in my range to consider that at the spot, but this is like I'm learning a new archetype as I'm drafting it, which means I'm gonna make some missteps and some mispriorities. But at this point, I think I have a pretty good grasp on like what works. And what I do know about Farsight is that it is actually like if you have these high creature count decks with land cyclers, that it's actually like a valuable card.
Sure. Yeah. Yep. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, you can turn it into a land. If
Yeah. That's so it's really good with land cyclers. This is why I take the troll now, so I can take the Farsight later and have it enabled.
Love it. Yeah, no, I like that. That's cool. If Simon Nielsen can draft a brew, pod 1 day 2 of the Pro Tour, you can do it in your next arena draft.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Don't let anyone tell you
drafting
you
brews is
can't.
really fun. I love the build around.
Simon, it's your spider.
There's my spider. It's not the
got
one
your
I
spider.
wanted. I wanted on the spider. No, I'm okay with this one.
Yeah.
I will say, if there was a very good spider in this pack, I would have picked that one over Sheila.
Yes, that is the takes that I am here for. That's awesome.
But I am not, gonna like turn down, big mommy spider. I don't even like, I was thinking that I already have these 2 land cyclers, my 6 drops are, but those are like counting as lands anyway. So I'm totally fine. I have some ramp stuff, finishing up my curve with a Shelob. I don't even have like any 5 drops at the moment, so my deck is just not clunky.
Yep.
So I will say like Shelob is not like a bomb.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah, I'm with you. Yep.
She's just like a big dumb dude. And like that can sometimes be fine. Like it's a fine curve chopper, right? But it's not. She won't like take over games. She can just be chump blocked. She gets
Correct.
food. It's fine.
Yeah, there are some boards where she's really obnoxious, and then there's some boards where it's not what you need.
Yeah, exactly. But it's nice. Like this deck, which is a little like low on like oomph and power. It's also part of why I took Troll last time, because I really needed like some big stuff, so I don't just like draw my deck and have all like 1/3s playing, then I die. So
Yeah.
so yeah, like having the Shelob is like good amount of oomph, and I don't have it to take it here.
Cool. All right. Or Wheel the Rising of the Day, Hasty Shelob.
Don't spoil. So go on.
Sorry. I'm just talking nonsense. All right, let's have a look at this. Cool. So
But-
switching colors here.
But do watch round 10 of the Pro Tour feature match. That's all I'll say.
All right, what do we got? What do we got here?
yeah,
This
so-
one's interesting.
No, it's not. I see a haunt on that marshes, and I'm like, thank you. I need the haunt. I actually didn't even realize that there was an Elrond in the back.
Oh.
Which is true. That actually, if I'd taken the haunt earlier, where I then didn't need it as much, I could I could really kind of consider the Elrond here and splashing it. Yeah. Sure,
Totally,
very much
right?
within
If you're
my
trying to
range.
do the scry thing, this card's really
Yeah,
powerful.
yeah. That's quite good. Yeah, I think I just messed
Yeah.
that up then. Maybe. At least like okay, right now in my spot it's really close because I do think Haunt is like so important for what I'm doing.
Yes, yeah.
But yeah, it's very funny. I hadn't actually like even thought about that at all because I saw the Haunt and I was like, thank goodness, like because
Yeah,
I just like
yeah.
want these 1-drop creatures in my deck, and I passed them up earlier and I was kicking myself for like passing all these Haunts in pack 1. And then never seeing them in pack 2. And I don't have the spider either, so like I just want like some sort of 1-drop, and I'm happy to take it here. But yeah, it's true that the
Yeah.
Elrond was actually like in my range as well. But I just don't have like enough
Yeah.
scribe like enablers maybe to, because without the Haunts, like I'm a little low on that. So yeah, I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah. That reminds me, actually, speaking of not noticing cards in packs, as someone who recently spent 5.5 hours transcribing every pick from Kai Bude's draft, that man does not look at the last card in his packs. Just doesn't look at it. Doesn't matter. Every pack, one less card in it. Who cares? It's probably not very good.
Yeah, why would it be
was-
the last card, you know? If it was good.
I feel like this is just the handicap that Kai Bude has to put on himself. He's like, I don't want to just crush every single tournament, so how about I just remove a card from every draft pack?
Oh yes, oh yes. Okay,
Love it. Alright.
let's move on here. Sam!
Celebration.
I got a spider.
Can we get some
I will-
celebratory music? Yes.
So I will say I was like on the verge of tears when I got this. No, and I'm very serious. Like when you drafted these,
Oh,
like,
I
you
can
know-
imagine you would have been. Yeah.
Yeah, because like these tables and these drafts, they're like so tough, and like there's like a lot on the line, and sometimes like when you know that your deck is looking for something specific,
Yeah.
and your deck is like, you know, I didn't feel great about my deck at this point or anything. Like I had some good rares and like some okay cards, but there was like some of these middle parts that weren't really coming together, and like going like before the last pick here, like I got the Shelob and the Old Man Widow, was very thankful for it, but I felt like I also needed the lower ends of the curve to really make things come together. And so when I got the Haunt into the Spider at what felt like the last possible moment, I see now that it was like pick 5 and 6, not pick 7 and 8 like it was in my head. But yeah, it just like meant so much. It's like such a relief that like,
Yeah.
okay, I finally like, you know, see a spider here. I can pick it up and like I have access to like this like tool that my deck really needs. Plus it's a combo with the bigger Shelob. I actually had to come up that my opponent couldn't cast Breaking the Fellowship because I had like to kill my big Shelob because my spider also had 1/2. So so it would be a 6 mana
that's
removal.
hilarious. That's got to be the first time that's come up. That's awesome. That's very funny. It's actually nice to hear you say that. I mean, obviously, when we're doing these videos, we get kind of a good sense of how things are actually going for you. But when we're watching the coverage, it seems very serious and unemotional and all of that sort of thing. But that's not at all what it is, right? There's a
lot going on.
storm and stress and
Yes. Yeah, and also like especially like that's also why I like, you know, pick the Gothmog like pack 2, pick 1, being like, okay, I just want this like uncertainty to end. Just want to like, you know, claim my spot and have it be over with, so I don't have to like, you know, struggle.
yeah.
And part of that pick was like, you know, it's partly an emotional pick. Like, it just makes the draft like
Yeah.
easier to stomach.
Yeah. No, I love that. That's great. Okay, can I put you to the test a little bit here?
Mhm.
So, I'm so glad this didn't happen to you, because whenever I'm in this position where I desperately want one card, it's also in a pack with Call of the Ring.
Sure.
What would you take?
Call the Ring.
Okay. All right. Let me go a little bit further down. Let me go a little bit further down the 17 lands list. What about Golem Patient Plotter?
Oh, that's a good one. I would take Golem. Golem is like, we really like Golem in our. I would
Okay.
definitely take Spider over like Gothmog, or like I would take it over Duneland Crebain, I think.
Okay. Well, Gothmog is the literal next card down the list. How about Bitter Downfall?
We already talked about this. I think I would take Spider now because I already have one out of Bitter Downfall.
That makes total sense.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. All right. That was fun. I was
So
really
we
hoping
valued
you were going to
really
go
highly.
spicier
Yeah.
on that.
As you can
I
see.
wanted to work my way up to Witch King of Angmar. But, all right. Next. Okay, so this seems like a pretty clear.
Well,
Meriadoc.
normally many parties is better in green decks, but I think at this point I'm like realizing that I'm probably not even gonna splash. I'm just gonna take the Brandy Buck here, works well with the
Yep.
with my Peregrine Took, and yeah. Just gonna
Yep. Yep, no, that's a great point. Yeah, so this is obviously very good with the strategy that we've got going here, but yeah, I completely agree with you that this is more important in your more typical green deck. Yep, cool, love it.
I remember considering Shadowfax in this pack.
I think that's totally reasonable. Yeah.
Because I do have the Great Hall and like the and Elven Chorus also like splashes double, but then I realized that I'm probably just gonna pick the Celeborn. It's like both a Scry enabler and a payoff, so like it's probably fine to play here.
Yep, great. Now, so you are a student of language, correct?
That is correct.
Good, and I'm very pleased to hear that you pronounce this Celeborn. All of these Celeborn people.
That sounds horrible.
Get out of town. It sounds horrific,
That's
doesn't
not
it?
even a thing.
Not even a thing.
Wow.
Good. We can put that down as settled science. All right. Next.
All right.
Nothing.
I have another chance at the Mines of Moria. I think I actually end up picking this. I don't know. Do I take Slip? Oh, I take Slip on the Ring because it's Slip on the Ring is like I also don't know what's up with this artwork, but it's
No, what the hell is this art?
but it's good with like I saw Gandalf Sanctions earlier, and so Slip on the Ring is a really good sideboard card against Gandalf Sanctions.
Oh, don't do that.
You only play best of one, right? You're safe.
That's true.
Yeah, but for anyone playing best of three, pick up your Slip on the Rings. It really blows people out.
Yeah. Actually, no, I shouldn't even start. I had exactly that happen to me in my last Gandalf Sanction draft. That sucks. It's all right. I had 2 more in the deck.
So the Mirror Guardian table, like I suspected it might, which is perfect. It goes fills up my deck here.
Nice pickup.
I picked the Elven Farsight here. At this point, by the way, I'm still thinking that I'm like splashing white. I'll have you know. Splashing white for the Dawn and the Banish from Edoras. And it's only like once I actually lay out my deck that I rethink. Here in pack 12, I take a Rising of the day, being like, yeah, I guess nothing really matters. I'll just take the Rising. But
why not?
Also, it's a combo with Elven Chorus.
Sure, if you just spew a bunch of things off the top of your deck. Yeah. No, I can totally see that.
I was like, because at this point, I'm just not even sure like how many colors I am, which direction this is going. So I've got to have my work cut out for me on the build table.
Yeah. No, I like that. Early in the format, I had a deck with very, very many legends, and I ran Rising of the Day, and it was actually good in there, which then tricked me for a while. Into
funny. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I guess it could definitely be like if you like have high enough count. But yeah, I ended up using it as a sideboard card. So to do a hasty shield up. So that was very sweet.
So good. Love it.
Yeah, no, we take the Glorfindel here. I don't want to take a shower. I would have taken it if I had no shower in my sideboard, but and as we talk about showers, it's not raining outside. Perfect. But yeah, I'm gonna take the second Glorfindel. I might end up playing it. I don't know what's happening here, but as I lay out my deck, I end up deciding that as we can like maybe put up my deck that's on screen. Like what I end up doing at my build table here is like I try the splash version with like splashing white and look at this like scry version and what happens if I put in all the scry neighbors and pay off. And I didn't think during the draft that I was actually gonna do that. So like at the build table I realized that this was like available to me rather than like a like secondary thing. And what it did was that it made my creature count really high. Like I could play 19 creatures counting the land cyclers.
Wow.
And that's just that means I could play Elven Farsight, and that means I could and it means like my Elven Chorus was like really well enabled, and I still had like 3 removal spell with the End's Fury, Claim the Precious, and Bitter Downfall, and I had to revive the Shire and the Nasty End. So like it's not like I was lacking access to like other things, but it's just the power of the land cyclers like upping your creature count.
All right, so let's get a shot of that final deck up on screen now. So there's a couple of interesting things in here. 14 lands.
Yeah, I mean, plus the 2 land cyclers, so it's like effectively 16. But that was like one of the last decisions I came to. It's like, because this was like, okay, I put in like all the, all the cards for the Scry deck. I ended up at 41, and I was like, maybe actually what I want to cut is a land, because I really don't want to touch that 19 creature count, because that means I probably like the Elven Farsight gets maybe worse enough that I don't want it, and then that's like one less Scry and so on. But the fact that like it, like Elven Farsight, if your creature count is high enough, is definitely fine with helping you find lands. because you have 2 land cyclers to hit, and you can like put a creature on top and then land on like next to it. It's only when your creature count is low enough that you're often forced to put all 3 on bottom that it's bad at finding lands.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense.
So yeah, that's why I ended up adding as like my as card.
Just so you know, both I and our community would have respected you more if you just ran 41 cards at the Pro Tour.
Yeah, but that means like I'm drawing the Elven Chorus less often. You know, I can't have that happen.
That's true. I guess last thing that catches my eye here is you played both Glorfindels.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, you know, the like scribe payoff thing. I definitely would have preferred Chancemate Elves in this spot. I've talked about this already, but I didn't realize until the build table that like this was the raid was supposed to be going, and there were no Chancemate Elves in the last pack as far as I remember. So I had to pick them up
and that's hard, right? Like people who mostly draft on Arena or in, you know, any non-Comprel environment where you can just look at your picks as you go, it makes such a difference, right? Especially when you've got these drafts that are pulling in different directions, different colors, all that sort of thing. Like if you've got one of those disparate drafts, it's really quite hard to keep all the different threads in your head.
Yeah, it definitely can be, and it's like, you know, obviously like not a very like, you know, common strategy like green black scry, but this is what it ended up being. I was like feeling okay about my deck, but I ended up just crushing it, going 3-0. Beating actually all the people, 2 of the people near me, like Greg Orange and Martin Dominguez, and they're like red black decks, and then Christian Calcano in the feature match area in that round 10. He was on blue black. So yeah, they played out really well. And I know like coverage they put up my deck. They were like really like praising it and like that this was everything you needed, which is not what I felt like when I drafted it. But yeah, I can see like from the outside, you know, there's rares, there's removal, like good curve, right? It has like things going for it. It just has some like with the double Glorfindel like weird like scry package like added to it, felt like a bit off to me, but maybe it just wasn't.
Yeah, no, that's great. Okay, beautiful. Yeah, did you have any kind of parting comments on the format or the PT or anything like that?
Oh, I have many parting comments.
Nice. Oh, that's good.
Okay, that was
he's got to come back now. All right, that's awesome. My friends in the comment section, if you've hung around for 17 hours listening to 2 draft nerds go absolutely crazy with this, please extend your thanks to Simon Nielsen for once again gracing us with his presence. I will need to edit the front of the video to mention that Simon offers coaching over at Metafy. If you want to get some of this analysis that you've heard today applied to your own drafts or your constructed game, please go contact Simon on Metafy. Links to all of that will be in the description of this video. I'll probably put it in a pinned comment as well. It will make you a better and more handsome / beautiful Magic player. Great. Cool. That'll do us. So I've forgotten how to do outro. Hang on a sec.
Oh my god.
Great. If you're not familiar with us, we are Draft Punks. We do weekly draft videos, and then we do all sorts of other draft-related content, like interviews with masters like Simon. It's actually just Simon, because why would we get anyone else? Please join us. We'd love to have you as part of our crazy little community. Just hit that subscribe button. If you want to get in touch with us, you can email us at the address that's on the screen now. You can find us on Twitter at DraftPunksMTG. Everything separated by underscores, even though we are really lazy about tweeting from it. You can find me personally. I'm not lazy about tweeting. My name is Sam, and I'm at calm_mirror. Simon, where can we find you?
I'm also on Twitter, or I guess it's called X now for some reason.
Yeah.
I'm at Mr. Checklist Card. That is MR Checklist Card. I should probably change that at some point. It's like a very old joke. And yeah, you can find me there, or you can, if you're interested in my booking, find in my coaching, find me on metafy.gg/@Simon-Nielsen.
Links to all of that in the description. You don't need to type out.
I don't need to like say out the full URL. HTTPS.
No, you're not.
Yes. Go on //
Love it. All right, Simon, to close us out, can you tell me, do you know what they call a werewolf on YouTube?
Ooh, I actually studied this one. I went into like the research here, and I think I know the answer now. It is a Shelopian ambush. Ambusher.
It's a like and subscribe.